Test. Hi, horses. Live indeed. Yo. Mr. fucking girl. I'm talking to Lauren Southern. I'm going to interview her right now. And ask her inappropriate questions. Ask her how she feels about being trans. Okay. I just might. What do I do for a day job? I quit my job. I had like a tech related job, but I quit it so I could do this full time. So streaming is my day job. Scarily enough. Do I do lots of cardio? I've been doing more lately, but typically no. I started running though. I should check all my settings. Fuck a job, go to the league. What are the ground rules? We don't have any, I don't think. The only thing we've agreed to is that I can ask her about her past and she can ask me about my past. You know what? I'm finding that having ground rules for these discussions doesn't matter. Because the rules that people break or that they don't respect that like bother me, like with Supreme last night, are the rules that people break are like unspoken or subtle rules. I have a Focusrite. I know. I'm gonna probably get a new audio interface. Okay, she's getting her tea. Did you not say that you made a lot of rules with Southern? I think I don't know if I said rules. What I meant was that we have talked at length about what kind of conversation we want to have. It's not, we haven't said like, I won't do this or you can't do that. It's more like, she was more reluctant than me. So I think I wanted to establish with her that I'm not trying to make her look bad or attack her or do a gotcha or trick her or somehow. When is the convo? She just said she's getting some tea. So as soon as she gets her tea, then that's when it is, I guess. What happened with Supreme? I felt he was trying to push me around, but in a way where it didn't look like he was trying to push me around. So then I fought back, and then it looked like I was trying to push him around, and then the audience was kind of divided on who was being a controlling asshole. But it was him. I've never played Halo. I have Halo installed. I have not played Halo Infinite. You're streaming in 1080 exclusively. I don't know how to change that. Shouldn't there be quality options? Or do I not understand? Lauren Southern is live chatting with Mr. Girl. You want me to stream in 720 or what? Oh, yeah. How do you donate? I think in my About section there's a donate link. I read the donations at the end of the stream. Well, I just applied for Twitch Partner, although they say they're looking for role models. So, I don't know what kind of role model I am. But if they approve me, then I'll have it. This is my fucking headphones. What do you mean, what is it? It's clear what it is. I just got some new earbuds, though. So, this thing will probably be gone unless the earbuds are happen to be dead. Okay, cool. Yeah. I was thinking, like, I'm not a good role model, but then I look at some of the other people who are partners, and I'm like, well, what's it? Like, didn't Hassan just say, like, you should be able to brawl with cops? So, like, I wouldn't say that, so I don't know. Push back. On what? Oh, hi, Sherry. Oh, I have to start a new call. Okay. Role model for intimate conversation. Yeah. In my application, you can like explain yourself a little bit. So I said like Twitch's audience is kind of growing up, you know? We're not all going to be watching Minecraft speedruns forever. So at some point we have to allow for more adult style conversation. And so that was my pitch. You're just yeah, we're not playing games. I'm just going to interview her. And she might interview me. She said she has questions for me. Yes. Oh, wait, my chat can't, though. Hello. Okay, now we can all hear you.
I'm gonna kill myself if that audio stays this way. I lied. Twitch, don't ban me.
Yeah, don't ban me either.
That's fine.
I can't see you.
Let me figure that out. All right, everyone. You know what time it is. It's Boomer Tech Support time, where Mr. Girl and I spend the first 30 minutes of this stream seeing who can get their audio or video working first.
That's right.
So I turned on my virtual camera.
Okay.
And because of that, it's supposed to work. But I guess I'm excited. Oh. Can you see me now?
Hey. There we go.
Can you ask your chat if your audio is shocking for them as well?
You know what? People were complaining about this last night. Is my audio horrible?
It's clipping, so turn down your gain.
I think it's
bad when Lauren knows what's going on.
Try this. Right click me in Discord and turn down my volume there. See if that fixes
it. You're at like medium.
Try turning it.
The slider.
Yeah, slide it down.
Turning it down more?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, speak. Sorry.
Hello. Test.
It's still clipping on your end. Chat, am I crazy?
My chat says it sounds good.
Maybe it's just my Discord then. My headphones.
Try turning me down more. Just keep going until, you know. I would turn me.
I can't hear you.
Turn me down so you can't hear me. Turn me down in Discord and turn me up in OBS. That's what I would do.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Yeah, you're still super quiet, but whatever.
Someone said it's my Discord settings. What Discord settings do I have to change?
Yeah, I'm getting this like what's the word I'm looking for?
I can turn my Oh, they said I can turn my gain in Discord down. Okay. Whoa, my
my chat are saying he sounds bad on this stream, but on his stream you both sound great. So maybe it is me. That's
no. I think let me turn my gain down in Discord. Okay, is that better? Test. Okay.
Then I'm gonna turn you up. Okay, there we go.
Okay, so I turn my input in Discord down. Got it. Okay.
All right. Oh, I don't even have you on screen yet. Wow.
Whoa.
Here I am thinking we've figured it all out.
It's kind of rude. Okay, I'm gonna give you.
Too soon. All right.
I'm gonna make us the same size.
Very polite.
I'm gonna make it so your head is the same size as my head. That was a problem last night with the guy with I was talking to Wicked Supreme, and his head was huge, and it just made
I don't know
everything
who
I
half
said.
these people are that don't have real people names. Do you know what I mean? They've got
Yeah,
like.
I know, absolutely. Do you know my name? To be fair,
No, what's your name?
Mr. Girl.
No, your real person name.
Max.
Mm. Okay, got it. Sorted.
Max Carson.
Ooh, look at this. I've almost got him on screen, guys. Are you guys enjoying this tech support ASMR? Everyone in the chat here. Drink Corona, WTF. Listen, I know everyone in my chat is like the demon on my shoulder, but we're trying not to drink on this stream anymore. That's the goal. That's my goal anyways. Actually, that's a good idea. I'm going to make you the same size as me as well in mine.
Okay.
Usually I just make the person a little square in the corner.
You're like a pretty big square in my corner. But our heads are the same size. Yeah, I feel like it's gotta be able to see all the little facial expressions, you know?
My webcam. Oh my goodness. There's some real tech stuff going on here.
I can't believe we're doing all this setup for a conversation that's only gonna last 30 seconds.
True. Wait, you guys just wait. The screaming hasn't begun yet, but once we've got this tech sorted out, then we'll hate each other.
Yeah.
Right, you can't have more space than me here.
Whoa.
That would be unacceptable.
Yeah.
And sorted. All right, look at that.
Wait, I'm in your Discord call.
Oh.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
Well,
You're
I don't know how to fix that.
Can you connect your Discord? Can you, from your Discord settings, can you choose your actual camera instead of your virtual camera?
Let's see. Can I do that? Is that?
If not, I'll just re.
It's
not gonna work.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
I'll make you small in mine.
No. It's fine. I can just no. You don't do anything.
Oh, do you have to reconfigure the whole thing now?
Yeah, but it's only gonna take a second. I'm just gonna crop your. I just have to recrop it. Okay.
All right, so I apologize. I'm gonna sound a bit stuffed up. I've just gotten over the Wu flu, and also very little sleep. But who is this? This is a person named Mr. Girl, and he is very controversial. I actually, so I'll just set the scene here. I actually haven't looked that much into you. I don't know about your cuties controversy. I made an active decision not to look too much into you before speaking.
Now,
to not have too much of a bias.
But also, let's be clear, that also makes it not looking into me also makes it so you have plausible deniability.
I don't care about that.
You may not care about it, but it's a fact.
What does that mean? Like, why would I want plausible deniability?
Well, if somebody says, Lauren, why would you talk to the guy who said this, this, and this? You can say, well, I didn't know he said that. And you have it on record at the very start of the conversation that you don't know what I've said or not said.
Why would I care if someone says, how dare you speak to this person?
Because if you, well, let's say that after the
stream, unless you decide to go like shoot up a school or something. Then,
no. Let's say after the stream, somebody shows you that I am a advocate for child pornography. That I've been caught and arrested with it 5 times. I've spent 10 years in jail. I love child pornography, and I just think it's the best thing on earth. Don't you think you'd have some?
Get into that.
I'm saying it. Don't
some questions.
I'm saying if you had known that before we talked, do you think that you would be so friendly with me in our opening statements here?
I
Probably
know
not.
you're controversial, and I know people have said you're a pedophile and these kind of
I
things, and
understand that,
I'm,
but if I were
yeah.
literally a child pornographer, if I were a maker of child pornography, don't you agree that you would at least approach this with some more trepidation?
Yeah, I'd probably speak to you, but yeah, I'd probably come in pretty hard.
Okay, and so that's why I'm saying if somebody says, "Why didn't you come in hard?" You have it now laid out that you have nothing to come in hard about because you have not researched me.
I mean, if I were playing lots of mental games, that would make sense. Sure, if I were like setting up all these building blocks, but I'm not smart enough for that. I'm not.
Oh,
On an
don't,
emotional, on a
no,
no, no, no,
don't
no,
play
no.
stupid. You're not
Let me
stupid.
clarify that. On
Okay.
a social, emotional level, it's not that I'm not smart enough to do it. I just don't really think I'm that capable. It's not in my constitution, my personality to play those kind of social games, which is why I tend to be very bad at it and tend to have the reputation I do now.
Okay, I think it's fair to. I agree that you are somewhat naive in or maybe unwilling to play those games, but finding out if the person you're talking to is a literal child molester, I, d- uh, I don't think that's a social game. I think I just want to point out that you can frame it as laziness or you just didn't feel like researching me or you didn't want to have a bias or whatever.
No,
But
so I watched one interview with you and Destiny,
it
but it
does
didn't go
afford
over your
you
history.
plausible deniability, whether you wanted to or not.
I see what you're getting at. I just don't know
Yeah.
why.
You don't know why I'm
So
getting at
you
it?
like I see that. So I found this interesting with your conversation with Destiny. You seem to care a lot about how people are or could be using you in a social aspect. Like you want to understand the psychology of why people talk to each other, why they avoid certain people online, why they ask certain questions the way they do or have the constitution they do in a conversation. And I think that's interesting because a lot of people don't take that approach in this realm. They all just kind of assume in some spheres we're all here for clout and we're just it's like Zerka Royale. We're all here for clout.
Mm-hmm.
We're all using each other. That's what this is going to be.
Yeah.
Um, and then some people make genuine friends on the internet, and some people get genuine, solid relationships with people. Why do you care so much about this kind of stuff? Like, is it why do you care so much about the interpersonal relationships between like streamers and people who speak to you?
I have a strong aversion to pretending I'm friends with somebody I'm not. And I have a strong aversion
Mm.
to noticing a dynamic in a social situation, especially one that disadvantages me, and not talking about it explicitly. So, and this has derailed a lot of my streams lately, where I feel like a power play is being made or a move is being made, knowingly or not, and then when I point it out, it just like I basically just derails the whole conversation. So like with Destiny, I feel like anytime I talk to Destiny, I do like to acknowledge like, hey, like you're huge. You launched my career, and made it so I can like semi make a living. I quit my job because I talked to you once like 3 weeks ago, and I think that that creates a huge power differential, and I think it's worth mentioning. And not just a power differential for me, but it also creates like a situation where somebody that big and somebody, especially somebody whose fans are so likely to also become fans of mine, can help me way more than I can help him. So it just creates this like weird dynamic. I think every time we talk, that my only solution to it is to talk about it.
Hmm.
And lately, after talking to a lot of people on Twitch, I've noticed people will do things, a lot of things, to protect themselves in these conversations. And so I want to point out that any declaration either of us make of like, hey, I don't know everything this person has said, is somewhat self-protective, even if we don't intend it to be. It has that effect.
Also, like, I tried to find your cuties review, but I couldn't find it. Is it still online?
Yeah, it's on my website.
But it's
YouTube
not
took
on
it
your
down.
YouTube. So I
No,
went to your YouTube and I watched two of your songs,
nice.
the I'm a Pedophile song and the You Can't
Yeah.
Stop What's Happening in My Head song. And I saw a third one on Twitter, which was the I Kill Pedophiles song. And then I saw, am I allowed to say this on Twitch? Let me quickly ask my chat. Am I
The
going to
word
get banned for
pedophile?
saying this word? Yeah.
I know you can talk
I
about
s-
pedophiles on.
okay.
Trust me,
Okay.
my whole career is talking about pedophiles on Twitch.
All right.
Yeah,
All right. We're good, chat. We're good to go.
yeah,
Full
yeah.
steam ahead. And then I watched a Destiny conversation with you, and I found you very interesting. I found your conversation style, the way your brain works, very interesting. But I could not purport to know about your history. So
I see.
that's my context for you. I did try to find it. I won't pretend I didn't, but
Oh yeah.
I couldn't find it, and I didn't find
Okay,
it.
I'll tweet that out today so that everybody can see my
Yeah.
cuties review if anybody missed it.
So before we
Uh,
jump into things, should we explain why our first chat was canceled?
for the exact reason I just said, but the other way
Mm-hmm.
around.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, that's not. It was it was canceled because you got pissed. It was canceled because you got pissed off. But the reason you got pissed off is because I did what I just said that you did.
Right. Right.
So we
Which
were
I
gonna play
find
video.
interesting.
Yes, we're gonna play video games together. Because I'm like, oh, cool, like a conservative woman, this will be good. And then I heard about your, and I don't know all the facts, so we can talk about this, about your refugee ship incident. And it suddenly felt like that, and then you being friendly with people who other people, including me, perceive to be white nationalists or white supremacists, made me think that I'm going to appear like I don't know what I'm doing, and like I haven't done my research well enough, and like I'm naive and trusting. Not trusting. Trusting's good. Like I'm stupid. That's what I mean. And I didn't want to appear that incompetent. And so it's not me wanting to not appear being friendly with somebody who is perceived as a white supremacist or who might be a white supremacist. It's that I don't want to be seen realizing I'm doing that in real time, like I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. That was my
And
main
so how do
problem.
you
So let
like
me
obviously yeah,
can
yeah,
I
yeah. Go ahead.
So trying to explain this to you, I think it came across to you as like you're dirty and I don't want to be smeared by you, which is
It
fair.
actually wasn't that's not how it came across. I
Oh,
found
okay.
it so when I got your initial message, of course I had all of those things go through my head where I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy he's got all these accusations about him that he's a pedophile, he's or he's defending child porn or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
should I even talk to him? Like that went through my head. Should I even talk to him? Do I want to have this conversation? And I was like, you know what? Like people spend a lot of time doing those calculations in their head. I'm reading a book right now. I'm going to be quoting him a lot just because I get obsessive with whatever book I'm reading at the moment and integrating it into whatever conversations I have in my life. G.K. Chesterton, and he wrote it's his criticism of a bunch of philosophers in his day and age, friends and people he dislikes, and he wrote, "You should never go to a man's enemies to try to understand who he is, nor should you go to the man himself." And
Mm.
I'm like, I don't feel like I can get a proper understanding of who this person is, nor can people get a proper understanding of who I am by what the worst accusations of us are on Twitter. So let's just give it a chance. Sure. You want to play COD? Let's play COD. I'll talk. I'll hear what you actually have to say, and then I can analyze that and, analyze other people's thoughts, my own mind in context with other readings and understandings I have. But I just don't. certainly with my own experience, don't have that belief that you can understand someone by their worst, the worst accusations against them or what all your enemies say. So then, to have that turned around and be like, "Oh, Lauren, I'm gonna, be careful because of the worst assumptions I've seen about you online." I was like, "Oh, damn it!" Like, I figured you might find it endearing that both of us were in this position where people have these horrible interpretations of us that we both genuinely believe are deeply misunderstood. I at least assume on your end. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
I think that some people hate me because of misconceptions they have about me. But I think that a lot of my detractors actually do understand me. They just are horrified by me, genuinely. And I don't.
Interesting. So that's what I want to find out. That's what I want to find out. I know you wanted to interview me, but I'm going to have far too many questions for it to go that way.
That's fine.
Being honest.
We can go either way. Yeah, I agree that you can't go to the person's enemies or to themselves, but I think that but you're neither. So you're in a good position to understand me, not being my enemy, nor my ally, nor me. And I think I'm in a good position to understand you.
Who gets to go first in the Alcoholics Anonymous circle, the canceled Anonymous circle? Do you want to start with
Nazis and Pedophiles Anonymous?
So what's this whole cuties thing? What's the review there?
I made a review where I said that Cuties tries to make you attracted to 11-year-old girls and that it's pretty good at it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I said, like, as far as music videos go, like they are kind of hot, and that's kind of weird, and that I think it was unethical to be made with real children. But if you take the ethics of that aside, I think it makes an interesting point of forcing us to reconcile with ourselves, like, how do we handle the blurry area between children and adults, and the times when we can see them as attractive or when they're dressed up or acting like adults. And as an art piece, I found it a interesting way to force us to confront those things. And then overall, like, the ways that we sexualize children.
So do you think that Cuties should have been published or should not have been published?
When you say public, you mean by Netflix or by, like...
Do you think it should have been made in the first place?
No, not the way it was, but I don't think it should be illegal. So it's like, there's a lot of things that you can do that I think are immoral, but I don't think that someone with a gun should stop you. So this falls in that kind of realm where I'm like, I think we need people out there making immoral art, as contradictory as it sounds. Like, I don't think you should do it, but I don't think it rises to the level of a crime either.
Why do you think it's immoral?
Because you're telling kids to twerk. Or you're letting them twerk, whatever, paying them to twerk. Whether they like it or not. You're filming, you're sticking a big camera in a kid's butt. And that's like, just seems wrong to me. Yeah.
So to clarify to my chat who don't know, the movie Cuties was a French movie about a bunch of 11-year-olds who make a dance team and they do very, very sexual dances and have a lot of sexual experiences in the movie. So a lot of people, Netflix bought it, massive controversy. People were like, this is like borderlining on child porn.
Yeah.
Mr. Girl's whole controversy is he did a review of the movie where he didn't fully reject it. I've done a review of Cuties myself for Human Events where I obviously completely rejected the film and don't think it should have been made. I want to dig further on that.
Would you think it should be a crime?
So I asked, well, I'm more so getting into the moral aspect of it. So you said you don't think it's moral because it's sticking cameras at children's private parts.
The creation of it, I think, is the problem. That you're... like, I don't think it's immoral to film a kid's gymnastics competition. Mm-hmm. Even though they could end up being kind of sexualized in the same way, or if somebody were interested in watching that for sexual reasons, they might receive gratification from it. So it's not that's not the part so much that I'm worried about. It's that it sends a very different message to a child to say like you're going to compete in this sport and part of the sport is that you're wearing a leotard versus I'm going to put you in a leotard and film you because it is sexual and we're making a movie about sexuality and objectifying children, so I'm going to objectify you. I've like even if the outcome could be similar, it's the creation of the second one I think is inherently semi child abuse.
And did you just didn't clarify your thoughts on that well enough in your cuties review, you think? Or what was like the crux that people held on to and were doing all the
No, I,
quote
I
tweets
said that
about?
pretty clearly in the review. Most people have not actually seen my review. They've seen clips
Uh-huh.
of me saying that the girls were hot out of context.
So you objectively found them hot, is what you're saying?
Well, I think it's subjective, but yeah.
Like, fair. In your mind,
In
you thought
my
that.
mind, yeah, I was like, wow, they actually are kind of hot. So, but like the point of bringing that up in the review was like this is weird. It's weird. It's a weird
So
thing to have to confront yourself about to be like, oh, like you dress these kids up to be hot and then like they kind of are.
right. So you're saying it's a weird thing and a wrong thing. I'm trying to understand you here properly, that there would be a
Yeah, I don't
deliberate
I,
intention to try to make people's mind make that connection between a child and
no,
sexuality,
no, no, no. I think
which,
that's fine. I think I'm fine with that part of it. I'm fine with challenging people to like I think there's ways you can make the world a better place or a more interesting place by forcing people to acknowledge to themselves like that you know what the line of where you find someone attractive does not is not 18. It's not magically it stops there. It for some people it goes somewhat lower, for some people much lower. It's dependent on situations and relationships or whatever. And I think that if I think we can protect children better if we know that about ourselves and each other. So I'm fine with challenging people to face
okay,
that.
so if we
What
so we acknowledge, obviously pedophilia exists, so there are people that are attracted to children. We acknowledge that exists within the human psyche in some
well, it's a
places.
spectrum.
It's a spectrum, right? We acknowledge that
Yeah.
exists within the human psyche. So should not the, and this is obviously what the natural reaction was for most people, the natural reaction was, we deeply reject this movie because we
I don't
don't
know.
want to spark that,
I
or
know. I
that
think
thing
that's
in the human
fake.
psyche, or
I don't.
entertain that.
I think some of that is fake. Wait, can I just explain the answer to your previous question about
Mhm.
what people's problem was with my review? Most
Yeah,
people,
go ahead.
when they disclose things about themselves on social media, are doing so for the purpose of saying dot 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 and I am a good and normal person or and this is how things should be. And so I'm very careful to differentiate between when I'm making a prescriptive statement about how I think the world should be, but I think the assumption is when someone's reviewing a movie that they're not going to make themselves look like a sick monster. And so I think there's an assumption that if I say, "Oh yeah, the movie made me find the girls in the movie hot," that I therefore think that's a good thing, or that I'm completely comfortable with that, or that I want to normalize it, or that I whatever. There's a lot of assumptions that go into that. So I think part of the problem is that people who are not familiar with me or my content are assuming that like if who's a good clean YouTuber like Mr. Beast. If Mr. Beast came out and said like the girls and cuties were hot, obviously the implication there would be, and that's okay, and that's a good thing, and like why? I'm very careful to explain on my channel like my morality is a separate topic, and I addressed it separately in the review from my experience, and I do not present my thoughts and this I think this is the appeal of my channel to people. I'm not presenting my thoughts in a way where I'm only going to present the ones that I think are moral. In fact, I'm going to go out of my way to present the thoughts that I have that I think are immoral more because they're the more unspoken and more interesting thoughts to talk about.
So is it just okay? So I've got sorry, I've got so many questions. First of all, I want for my chat, for people that are listening, they're all like, what the hell is going on? So just clarify, like, black and white. You think age of consent
Oh, you want
should
to talk?
exist, like
You
you're
want
against
so that okay? This is
pedophilia kind of
exactly
stuff, like just
this is perfect. We can watch it happen in real time. So, people desperately want reassurance when you go into murky waters, right? And same thing with you.
yeah, you have to clarify everything going in. But like
Right.
I'm
Like same
doing
thing.
this
Same
because
thing
I'm
with.
seeing mass confusion in my chat, so I feel like anything you say from this point on will just
Well, it's
be
the same thing. Well, I
misunderstood if
mean,
there isn't some sort of clarification, you know?
right. So it'd be like if my chat was like, wait a second, ask her if she believes that in equal rights for people of different races. Ask her if she's a race realist. Ask her if she believes in segregation or if she's pro-slavery. Make her say XYZ. Make some statement or pledge that she's not a racist.
Well, like, yeah, I can. So you know, like I can make statements like,
Well, I don't, whoa.
you know,
I don't
I'm
want you.
against I'm against slavery, but we
I
can
don't want
talk
you.
about the.
I don't want you to make any statements. I'm
No,
just giving you as an
I
example.
know what you mean though. Like I get what you're saying.
So is
Because you
that what
can
we're
make
doing?
A definitive.
You're asking
you
me
can
to
make a
do that.
definitive statement.
I assume you don't like it when
but
people ask
still-
you to do this.
No, you're right. I don't like that.
You don't like it.
But
So maybe you should tell your chat to fuck off.
I think that they have some relevant concerns. But all right, what I will tell you, chat, is
But
let's
you
dig
don't.
deeper. Let's dig deeper.
No.
I
Don't fuck with me. You are not sitting there thinking that I want to lower the age of consent. I don't believe you think that. They think that, and they're addressing you with the concern, and you are passing it on to me.
No, I don't think that, but I'm not sure that you're communicating that well enough. And I don't think I communicate my thoughts well enough sometimes either, which is why there has been a large amount of misunderstanding.
Okay.
How convenient.
I think I should defend you from my chat, and you can defend me from your chat. How's that? You can explain it to your chat. Don't ask me. You tell them. You understand.
Well, I'm trying to fully understand your beliefs as well right now.
I think you understand just fine. I appoint you as my representative to defend me from your own chat. You now have power of attorney. You can speak for me. Go ahead.
We've only spoken for 30 minutes.
You're that intuitive.
I genuinely do not feel
you are that
I
intuitive.
can describe your views well enough.
You are that intuitive, I believe, that I'm granting you power of attorney anyway.
You're being very aggressive, and you're assuming that I understand you well enough when I don't. I've spoken to you for 30 minutes. I don't understand you.
Well, would you rather I assume that you don't understand me when you do? I'm being aggressively charitable. And this may not be charitability that you want right now, but I'm giving it to you all the same.
You just told me to fuck off. Where's the aggressive charitability?
Well, I meant, well, that was a different topic.
I think you're getting very defensive, and I think
no, I'm getting anti-defensive. I'm not going to defend myself.
You're frustrated that you recognize that I understand what you're getting at to a degree, and I do, but I don't feel that I genuinely have enough understanding to explain it back to my chat simply.
I know.
You know when you read a book and you're like, I get that book and I see what they're getting at, but I couldn't explain this to someone else.
Well, I actually heard a quote from a book that was really stuck with me. If you want to understand a man, don't go to his enemies, nor to the man himself.
Right, but I don't understand you well enough yet.
Your chat can't ask me. I am me. I can't explain myself.
Right.
You're a neutral party.
I'm going to analyze it as a neutral party, but I don't feel that I am, like, in that book. Okay, so that's great. Let's bring it back to Chesterton's book. In that book, Chesterton.
Yeah.
Where it's called Heretics, and he's reviewing various philosophers. He's known these people. He's been friends with them their whole life. He's read all of their books. He can describe their views to a T before he gets into his critiques of them. He steelmans their positions, but he can only do this because he's gotten to know them at a deep level, like he's studied them. So when you look at that quote, he's not talking about get someone at face value that's a random third party. That's not what that quote means. That quote
I
means
don't think
that
you're a
the
random
man
third
himself
party.
nor the enemy is going to be able to
I think you are.
interpret the person well enough, but it doesn't mean the random idiot on the street or the random person who's just meeting someone or
Don't
just
call
beginning
yourself
a
an
work is
idiot,
going to
Lauren.
end.
I think it's pretty
I
obvious
wasn't
that you're.
calling myself an idiot. I think
Well,
you
it's the
missed the
second.
point there. I said that doesn't mean a random person, whether they be an idiot, a person having a random conversation, or a random, that's not what that quote was referring to. And I do think you're having a bit of condescension. I wonder if you project a bit about this constant analyzing, and I'm just saying I wonder, this constant analyzing about what other people are doing with mental games
Yes,
because you're doing it.
it could be. Are you saying that you don't understand what my mental game position is right now in this interaction? I feel like you do understand it, so that feels also not true. Do you not understand why? Do you understand why I don't want to answer the question? And do you know exactly how I feel? I know you know how I feel.
I'll explain to my audience.
You can explain
why,
whatever you want.
perhaps.
I'm saying I don't want to answer their questions. I give you full authority to answer for me if you want to or not.
So I'm not. So when I think about when people ask me a question like, do you think that, I'm trying to think of a good example.
Are you now, or have you ever been a member of the Nazi Party?
The Great Replacement is real or something? Or do you think that immigration is bad or good? Like those are not questions that I can possibly give yes or no answers to, because there is so much depth and nuance to those questions. There are instances in which immigration are good and bad. There are instances in which I could say aspects of what people would call the Great Replacement are true, whereas other aspects are misportrayed. Did you do X? Did you do Y? Well, there's complexity to that. I understand. But when it comes, I think there are some definitive questions, and there have to be some definitive answers in this world. Truth does exist. I'm not saying that either of us have it, but there are definitives.
Absolutely. I don't think that's the analogous situation.
If you ask me, okay, so there we go. Like I said, I'm not sure I understand fully, and I need you to believe me when I say I'm not sure I understand fully what you're getting at.
I don't believe you.
Well, then how can we continue to have this conversation if you don't believe anything I'm saying when I ask genuine questions?
I believe everything else you're saying, just not this one.
Which aspect? Okay. Which aspect?
Well, because I already asked you. Okay, do you like being asked if you're a Nazi?
No, but I can answer it easily. I'm not.
Yes, but that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking if you like it.
No, because I think it comes with an inherent assumption that I am. But if someone's chat if your chat were like, is Lauren a Nazi, Lauren a Nazi, and you said, my chat just want to know, yes, no, are you a Nazi? I'd say no. And maybe, there's actually an interesting analysis in that, like you said, the man themselves can't define them. There does have to be a degree of outside analysis, but I think that's where the rest of the conversation comes in. You can give people definitive phrases and then they can listen to you for the rest of the conversation to see if your actions match up with that. Mm-hmm. But it's not like there's zero value to someone's self-description.
I'm not saying there's zero value. That's not my point. My point is that you don't
understand what I'm saying.
I understand what you. I do understand what you're saying, but I don't know that you understand what I'm saying.
You're going to have a very hard time on the internet. You're going to have a very hard time.
I think we're both having a pretty fucking hard time on the internet. I think there's no question about that. I'm already having a hard time on the internet.
Well, this is just what it is, It's not.
Well, it sucks. But can I explain? I feel like you asked me a question, but I feel like you are not understanding my answer.
Okay. The floor is yours. I'm listening.
Do you like it when people ask if you're a Nazi?
No.
Okay, you said you don't like it because it implies that you are. But
it implies that there's a question.
Don't you also not like it just because it's annoying?
Correct.
I don't like virtue signaling. I find it detestable. I don't like being asked to do it. I don't like it when someone's like, whoa, I'm getting uncomfortable. Can you make some broad statements about what kind of person you are so I can calm down and listen to what you're saying? And I'm like, well, no. Then don't listen. That's fine.
Hmm.
We're not talking
Okay,
about
I
age of
kind of
consent
see
right
what you're
now.
getting at.
We're talking about cuties. Well, do I have to tell you what I think the age of consent should be for to be able to have a conversation about cuties? And from based on this conversation, you're telling me you you don't know what my position on the age of consent should is, or I have a guess. I just don't believe that. I don't believe you.
I have a guess that you would generally be against pedophilia. I have a guess that you believe the age of consent is probably pretty fair where it is right now. That would be my assumption. But you're exploring these ideas with a mind that I think people would argue is too open.
But people,
And I think
including
there's,
you,
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't spoken to you long enough.
well, that's what I'm saying. So if your chat has questions about where I stand, and they want me to virtue signal to calm them down, I don't care if your chat's calm.
I don't care if they're calm either, but I'm offering that I figured, you
I'm
know,
not. I'm not. I'm
a
not
lot
going to
of
answer their
people.
questions. I'll answer your questions
Okay, that's fine.
because I don't like being asked to virtue signal, and I don't. And I reject the construct of like, whoa, I don't. I can't like. I can't proceed listening to this talk about cuties if this guy like like if he thinks the age of consent should be 11, then I'm out. Like it doesn't.
I can
That's
see
not.
I
It's
can see
not
why
what
you
we're
would enjoy speaking
talking
to
about.
Destiny because he definitely doesn't do that.
No,
When I think about that, like I've
you don't
never
do it
had
either.
him. Sorry?
You
Do
don't do
what?
it either. And I assume you'd hate it when it's being done to you.
Yeah. So,
So
okay.
let's not
I
do it to
think I
each other.
can I think I can explain it to my chat. I know you don't like me addressing my chat. In fact, I will
No,
close
no,
it
you can
after I
address.
explain this.
No, no, no. If you want to keep an eye on chat, and I'm going to do the same, then that's fine. And you can address it
Okay.
to them as you want. I'd like to hear what you're saying to them though.
Okay. So, when I speak to Destiny chat, you guys will notice he never asks me to clarify, are you a Nazi? Are you a racist? Are you a white supremacist? Are you all these things your Wikipedia page say? We have the conversation and he leaves it up to people to decide what I've said and what my views are based on the actual contents of our conversation rather than these kind of labels that must always be addressed and always be questioned beforehand to ensure that the conversation is acceptable to have or not. And that's nothing. Even when I came back and every single Twitch creator, every single YouTube creator that interviewed me wanted to ensure we did an inquisition about my past, he didn't do that. And I don't think he did that to you either. He just wanted to actually prod and pry your mind to see what we could figure out through, yeah, dissecting your beliefs. Because you can't find out what someone is through a yes or no question. I'm not sure you can. Sorry, I'm not sure if that makes sense. I'm grappling with the idea right now. But I also got offended to an extent when you suggested that you wanted to just interview me instead of just talk.
Yeah,
Because you want, because I thought
it's
it was
too
going to just
protected.
be an inquisition of are you this, are you that, are you this,
Yeah,
are you that.
yeah, and I uh I should have presented that differently because that's usually what happens.
Look at us dealing with our internet trauma.
Yeah, I think we're both pretty pissed off and hurt.
Do you see the value in direct questions though if they're thought out well? Maybe not
Yes,
yes or no questions,
my no no no.
but
My problem with it is not that it was a direct yes or no question. It's that it wasn't your question, and it had nothing to do with what we were talking about.
okay.
And I'd already given you the information to answer it in the previous 30 seconds. So my problem was that you were passing the buck from your upset chat and asking me to calm them down. I don't like calming people down. I don't like placating people. Pisses me off.
Oh, you're gonna have a fun time on the internet, that's for sure. So that's the one thing I thought was very interesting when you were talking to Destiny, the one conversation I did listen to, where, what was the line? You were saying that you were going to drag him off the cliff with you in
Hmm.
trying to change the way that the internet was. Can you remember what the line was exactly?
I don't, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. I want to change this about the internet, at least in a little
The
bubble around myself. If that's all I can do, then that's fine. But I refuse to play this game. I really don't like it.
It used to be different. It used to be a bit more like what you're talking about, where people would just go in and engage in the conversation, and there wasn't the attitude of here's all of these, who are you? You have to answer. You have to, you have to answer these direct questions. You have to check this box, that box before it's acceptable for you to come on this show or be on this platform, even just 6, 7 years ago. Were you
Yeah.
online then?
No.
Like doing content?
No.
Mm. And there's also this assumption. We addressed this at the very beginning. This assumption that if you speak to someone and you speak to them the way we're speaking to each other, where there's not screaming going on, that you agree, which is very difficult to overcome.
Right.
Because
So
I
we,
want to
we
be
have to.
able to speak to everyone like this,
Right.
even
Right.
if I
And
really dislike them.
we have to be screaming at each other to show that we are not each other, and then it's
Mm.
impossible to talk to anybody who's different from you, which ultimately is very boring. Because then either people are screaming at each other, which is ultimately boring, or people are chatting about nothing because they already agree on everything.
Right. Right. Hmm. All right. Well, I'll give you the floor since I've been. I
Well, we
did
can
exactly what you asked me not to do to me. Little
the
inquisition
Inquisition.
against you. Yeah. So I'll
Well,
give
you
you the
didn't.
floor.
You
Where do you
yeah.
want to go with
You were
this?
complicit in a chat inquisition against me. Um, the thing that I heard that upsets me the most is from what I understand, that you blocked a rescue ship from leaving harbor.
Now, what do you think actually happened there? If you like,
I
when
don't
you think
know.
of how humans behave and like how the human
Hey,
psyche works, what do you think actually happened
I have no
there?
fucking idea. I'm telling you that what I heard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't. I honestly don't have much of an opinion on what actually happened because I don't know. I know that I don't know. What scares me is the image of you in a raft in front of a ship that's supposed to go rescue drowning migrants, preventing them from doing so.
So there are
And
various approaches to. Do you want,
that's
do you
the
want me to explain what happened?
not yet.
Okay, go ahead.
That's the image that is painted.
Mhm.
Um, Whether it's true or not, uh, it's a painful image to have painted of you. So
Mhm.
I'm not looking to. I'm not. I don't want it to be an inquisition. I genuinely just wanted to tell you that the image freaks me out, but I do want to understand it,
Mm.
and I don't want you to feel that you have to defend yourself. And if you don't want to talk about it, then you don't have to.
Like you said earlier, it does get some of these conversations get boring because you go over them so many times, right? But on another hand, I feel like the more I look back on circumstances and analyze them better, the better I am at explaining to other people my thought process. Um, so there was no stopping of any refugee ships or rescue ships. It's one of those complex gray zones where if you want to do your worst portrayal of an incident, you can mm, to some accuracy say Lauren attempted to block a rescue ship. To some accuracy, you could say that.
What percent
But
accuracy do you feel that is the case?
you can say a lot of things that are true that, when given context, are almost the complete opposite situation, is what I'll say to that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No.
So
Well,
a statement can
it
be
makes sense.
100% true, but your opinion of it can change 100% when given more context to that statement. Like, uh,
Well, no, I mean,
Mr.
I'm saying
Girl
for
killed
you.
someone, for example.
I'm saying no. I don't want. To, we don't. You don't have to look. We can have a much shorter conversation about this. You don't have to. You don't have to do this.
No, but do you get what I'm saying when I say
I
that?
do, but
Like,
you
I
don't
could.
have to. I get what you're doing, but you don't have to. I want to know what
Okay.
you think happened.
Okay, so
I'm not going to
it's
compare what
gonna.
somebody else said happened against what you think and then try to get you to reconcile or argue with you. I want to know, do you feel that you blocked a ship that was supposed to go potentially save drowning people? Does that resonate
No,
with you?
no, not even a little bit. That's
What do you, okay, so
completely.
I just want to know what you think.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try to trip you up. I'm not gonna attack you. I'm not gonna
Hmm.
say, well, what about this? I don't want to do that. I just want to know what you think.
No, that's not what I think at all. It's it's very frustrating watching people make that claim about me because I feel it is always from a politically charged stance because this is something, the blocking of illegal migration, uh, that happens every single day in every single country by every elected official. So Joe Biden right now would not allow Haitian boats full of Haitian illegal migrants to land in Miami, Florida, right? They capture them and take them back and land them in Haiti. That's the policy. And they also wouldn't allow for random people to take ships out and pick them up and bring them to Miami. So, but yet Joe Biden, who would
Lauren,
hold that policy, would never be compared to me, right? So this is the
Lauren,
policy that I support. Yeah.
will you stop?
What am I doing wrong in your mind?
Well, imagine if you asked me what I said about cuties, and I said, okay, Trump. Let's take a look at some of the things Trump has said about young girls. Okay, and let's not forget the guy owns a beauty pageant. All right, you don't have to do this. Your own chat
Okay.
likes you, and my chat likes you too. And I'm not trying to fuck with you. I just want to know what you think happened.
Oh, so what? Okay, just straight what happened. So
For
I
for you, from
went out.
your yeah. What's your
From my
narrative of?
perspective, went out.
Yeah.
There was a ship called the Aquarius.
Okay.
It was going into Libyan waters and picking people up and bringing them to Italy. There was an overflow of illegal migration in Italy, which I believe is a terrible thing
Okay.
because it overwhelms refugee and asylum systems. It simply is not sustainable. It's terrible for everyone involved, migrants as well. Um, so I wanted to oppose this ship, as many even within European governments opposed the ship because it was contributing to what people would call a pull factor of bringing more illegal migrants over and out on a dangerous mission into the sea. Um, and so went out and protested the ship, didn't block it, nothing. It had no migrants on it. And it just went on its merry way and went back to doing what it was doing. It was never blocked. I was eventually shut down by the government for under investigation for various illegal activities. We don't know if it will be charged or not, but it's been shut down.
Can I ask you a
Yeah, I
couple
think that, yeah,
clarifying questions?
yep.
Okay. So the claim is, you went out on a raft to protest it with flares. That part is true.
Forgive me. I need to shut down my notifications here.
Okay.
Uh, no. So what happened was
Wait.
there was a video that was going to be shot of just saying, basically, it was going to be a press picture. Let's get a picture, kind of the way that Greenpeace does
Yeah. Yeah.
their
Yeah. I
protests,
guess
where you get the boat
you
in
were
front
gonna
of the
do a
big
photo shoot.
tanker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do a little photo shoot to show there are people who oppose the mass bringing of illegal migrants into Europe.
Understood.
And when we were waiting there, and this is a very interesting misconception I see about it as well. When we were waiting there, the ship left late. So it was supposed to leave at like 4 p.m. or something during the day. And we were waiting in a little dinghy boat, not a dinghy boat, but like an electric one that we had rented. And the ship kept delaying and delaying and delaying and delaying until it got dark out. And we were like, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this photo shoot? I found a flare, like the regular boat flare that you take for when you've got an emergency or something, in the ship, hidden in like the little container part under the wheel. And I was like, oh, this will work perfect. It'll light us up because it was a handheld flare, so it doesn't fire. It just lights the direct area around you. And that will make it so that our ship is visible for the picture. And so I held that flare up for the picture, took the picture, it got uploaded, and a journalist at the Hill. The Hill said that I was firing flares at a refugee boat. There were no refugees on it. It was completely empty. It was not a firing flare at all. And the only person at risk of dying was myself and everyone on the little dinghy boat, because the ship just kept moving forward despite us going by it. So.
Okay. A couple questions.
Yeah.
You did not want to block it from leaving.
No, I think that would have been good.
It would have
I
been
think
good
that
to block it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you did not block it, but you did intend to, or you would have if you could have?
There was the intention there.
Okay, so you did intend to block it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the claim that the ship was on its way to go rescue possibly drowning migrants, is that true?
I believe that, it was going to rescue possibly drowning migrants, but people don't understand a lot of the maritime policy in that area. So maritime policy is, if you see people in distress, no matter who you are as a ship, you have to go and help them and bring them to the closest port of entry, generally. Typically, that's what works, certainly in America. If you see boats that are coming from Haiti, even if they're caught like right on Miami's shore, they have to be brought back to Haiti. Otherwise, you're creating a pull factor for more people to come out in boats. Like, hey, we're going to get picked up and brought along. So typically, there are two supports for this kind of policy. You can just try to stop the pull factor altogether. Nope, if you come out here, you're getting brought straight back to the country you came from or going straight into detention. This is the Australian policy, and it stopped drownings by 100%. They had like 0 drownings the years after they put this policy in place. And then there are people who say they're going to come out anyways, and you have to save them. You have to bring out boats. Yep. I know you're going to say stop it, but this is important to explain.
I'm going to ask you,
because there are two approaches. And my approach, I believe, is not to have a pull factor at all, and not to have these ships going out into Libyan waters and picking people up.
I understand that. You want to continue, or can I ask?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay. So you wanted to block the boat. You intended to block the boat, and the boat was going to go rescue people who were likely or potentially drowning.
Didn't believe that at the time either, and I'm not sure I still do to this day. There's still an ongoing investigation, because the claim was from Italian prosecutors at the time that they were going into Libyan waters where the boats were just taking off, picking them up when they weren't in distress.
If you had known
and
it
then
at the
bringing
time,
them to Europe.
If you had known it at the time, would you still have tried to block the ship from leaving harbor?
If I had known what? That they were going to go and save a drowning group of people that moment? Of course not. No. But I didn't believe that, and I'm not sure I do to this day.
If you found out with incontrovertible proof that that ship did go and rescue a group of drowning people, would you regret trying to block it?
See, that's a difficult question. Yes.
Okay.
It's a really difficult question, because it still comes into that push-pull factor, right? Is that part making sense? That's what I was trying to explain, the push-pull factor.
Because I understand you're saying it could create more migration, yes, and more drownings in the long run.
Yes.
If you so you're saying that perhaps letting some people drown in the short term will save more people and save the overloaded immigration system in the long run.
As horrific as that sounds, yes, which is why I don't think that particular boat should be supported. That's not to say I don't support rescue missions. I do. But there were really good missions that happened before, like Nostra, which what they did is they went out and it was government funded missions. They went out, they rescued people drowning at sea, but they also arrested human traffickers at the same time,
I think that
which
you need to
created
have
a
an
rescue
answer.
factor with also, sorry?
I think you need to have an answer for this, even if the answer is that you don't know.
But you're doing the same thing to me that you were talking about earlier. There isn't a simple answer to this.
No, not an answer about the truth, an answer about how you feel or what you believe.
I guess I don't know is a good answer. It's a better one than I have right now. But to me, it's not necessarily I don't know or I don't have an answer. It's I believe there are much better approaches, and that approach was genuinely causing more death. I genuinely believe with all my heart that sending out ships and promoting open borders policy led to way more death than a policy that said you will not be allowed in, you will be brought
Yeah,
back to your port of that you departed from. I believe that would have saved thousands of lives, tens of
but
thousands.
what people are going to corner you on is, do you believe that so strongly that you're willing to cause the death of, say, 50 people that day?
But I didn't I see
I know.
that's
I know
asking
you're
an
saying
impossible hypothetical because I
it's not
believe that they were going into Libyan waters and picking up people that were not in distress at all and
it's
bringing
not
them
an
over.
impossible hypothetical. It's just a hypothetical.
No, on a human level, I of course I would not want to stop anyone from saving anyone who was drowning. Of
Even if it's going to
course.
save
Of
even if
course.
you believe it's going to save thousands in the long run?
Well, see that's the thing. I was giving you the answer for the longer context before, and then you asked about that individual circumstance.
I'm
In that
asking,
individual
well, the only reason
circumstance,
I'm not saying, nobody thinks that you're drowning people for fun. Like obviously your point in doing it, in attempting to block the ship, is not to hurt people. It's to protest what you perceive as a broken system, and that could have the effect of hurting people in the short term. And you're saying that when you did it, you did not think that there was any chance of hurting people in the short term, or you didn't know, or you didn't think about it.
I didn't think there would be any chance because it was my understanding, our understanding at that time that the ship was directly going into Libyan waters because there had been tracking systems on the ship. You could watch where it was going. It wasn't going into the middle of the, ocean. It was going right into Libyan waters, so where they would have just taken off. And typically do not find, that
So,
distress. Now, that's not to say there wouldn't be any, but from my understanding, they were going into Libyan waters and picking up people not in distress, just people in boats that were wanting to come over and creating more of a pull factor.
right. And so from your
But I
perspective,
reckon.
your
Oh,
perspective at
sorry.
the time is that you're basically stopping a ferry.
Yes,
Okay.
precisely,
Right.
precisely.
And so
Um,
you're in a difficult position in talking about this, which I want to acknowledge, which is that you're being asked to answer to hypotheticals that, um I mean, you didn't stop the ship, so we don't know what would have happened if you had. So we don't
mhm,
uh you're being asked to answer for things that didn't happen but could have happened, and that
mhm.
you at the time, it sounds like, did not consider, and whether you should have considered it or not is another question. And then how you feel about it in retrospect, I think, after being attacked relentlessly for it, and the story being twisted and oversimplified, particularly by people who don't like you, I assume also makes it like more complicated to talk about.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very good understanding. Uh, I always think of like how we could play a lot of these eternal hypotheticals with a lot of activism and a lot of just politics in general, Like a lot of people that probably would say this about me have partaken in BLM protests where they've blocked roads and felt that that was, the best way to go about raising awareness. The government won't listen to this greater issue that we have unless we cause some sort of scene. And what if it stopped an ambulance, you know, and someone died in that ambulance while you were doing that? Well, that didn't happen, but this could be applied to so many different circumstances, right? But then also, there's a lot of instances in life where it's like, what if I do nothing? What if I do nothing? Then are you not at fault for a lot of things that happen in the world as well? We could play this fault game of hypotheticals with everyone to many different degrees and extents.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? What I'm
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
There.
I get what you're saying, but it's how old were you?
21.
Would you do it again?
21. No.
Why?
Because I think there are better approaches. It did nothing but cause chaos and havoc in my life and a lot of others. It was kind of it didn't do anything, you know, ultimately. Actually, you know what? I won't say it didn't do anything, but I think those things can be done a lot smarter, because eventually there was a German government and a few EU officials and a few ministers that actually launched investigation into that ship, the Aquarius, and specifically named me as bringing attention to it. So it did do that to an extent. In fact, I did a video called Vindicated on YouTube about that. But I don't think I had to do it in a way that made people misunderstand the intention to such a great degree and still raise awareness. You know, a video investigating the activities of the Aquarius and bringing these forums to government could have had the same effect, in my opinion, as that incident, without all of the fallout of people literally thinking I was shooting puppies with a flare gun or something in the Mediterranean or drowning babies.
Do you think that it's irresponsible to block a rescue ship without fully considering the possible death that could be caused by doing that?
Well, why do you think I wouldn't consider that?
Because I asked you if you thought they were going to save drowning people, and you said you didn't think about it.
I said that my thoughts were they were going into Libyan waters as a ferry service to pick people up, so of course I had thought about that.
Okay. Okay, so maybe I misunderstood.
Yeah.
You tried to block the ship knowing that it was possibly going to go rescue drowning people.
Didn't block the ship, first of all, and secondly,
yes, but you attempted to.
I
don't. Can I give you some
knowledge.
advice?
Yep.
Don't stop dodging this. Like,
I'm
you
not
tried to
dodging
block
it.
it. We had to go on like a whole 5-minute loop to get you to just
answer, because you just said when you blocked the ship. So
oh, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah.
You attempted to. Sorry. That's my fault then. You attempted to block the ship, knowing that it was going to possibly go rescue drowning people. Is that true?
Sure, yeah, I guess I can accept that, but that's not what the intention of
obviously
the blocking.
Yes, I'm not saying that's saying that
that's not what the intention of the blocking was.
I understand.
But okay, so here's what.
But I want to ask you something.
There's a very important clarification here. So after that happened, there was a ship that went out called
you're gonna lose everybody listening. You're losing them as soon as you say this. They don't care. I promise you, they don't care about what you're saying.
This is important.
It's not important to them.
You don't know what I'm going to say. What am I going to say?
It doesn't matter what you say right now. I'm telling you. I want to give you advice about.
I don't want your advice. I want to say what I'm going to say.
Okay, well then go ahead.
I'll have your advice after I say what I'm going to say. So there's a ship that went out called the Sea Star. that had the explicit mission of investigating the behavior of NGOs that were potentially colluding with human traffickers. All of the people that would accuse me of being this horrible, awful human being that wanted to kill migrants by stopping that ship opposed this ship and protested to have it stopped. Now, that ship also had the explicit mission of picking up drowning people at sea. Should they not be asking all the same moral questions that we're speaking about right now? Did they not think about what protesting or signing petitions to block that ship would do? It could have gone out and saved 50 people drowning. We could have this conversation about every ship in the damn sea because it's maritime law that they have to pick people up that are drowning. So when you're putting me in these awkward moral conundrums that make it sound as though I'm the only one with this question when you could ask literally anyone this question.
Motherfucker, I just said 11-year-olds were hot. Don't talk to me about this shit. I have no sympathy for your inability to answer this question.
It's not an inability.
That's not
to
true.
answer
I
this
have
question.
sympathy for it. I do have sympathy for it.
Okay,
But
all right.
I want to challenge you. I want to help you.
I did because I genuinely felt it was going to change and make the world a better place. I genuinely felt that asylum seekers were having their lives effed up because there were a bunch of people that were paying tons of money to come over and take their spot.
I get why you did it.
Overloaded. There was a ferry service, and more people were drowning because of this.
I get why you did it.
Why the fuck did you say 11-year-olds were hot and do a video about cuties?
Because it's the goddamn fucking truth. Because it's true.
Why is that important to you? Why? Like, what?
Well, I'll
cause?
answer that in a second.
At least the thing that I'm canceled for seemed. I genuinely, have this belief that there is a moral imperative
Nazis
to
versus
stop
pedos.
mass migration for the sake
I told
of
you,
both
Nazis versus pedos.
asylums and indigenous people in the country alike. What is the big moral feat you were trying to make by making a review of cuties that ruined your fucking life? Like, I don't understand.
I thought you were better than this, Lauren. I really did. Can I give you some advice?
That's such a mental game. Stop playing these little mental games. This is why you pick into people's minds so much about what you're doing, because you're playing these mental games.
I'm disappointed in you, Lauren.
Yeah, exactly. You're like,
can I give you some advice?
If you like me, I don't.
That's
care.
not true. That's a lie. Don't lie. Can I ask you something?
No.
Or can I give you some advice?
If you like
you
me.
do care if I like you. Shut up. Can I give you some advice?
Let's hear it.
Okay. I think this would go much better if you just bit the bullets. Just be a bullet-eating vacuum cleaner.
We spent the first half of this interview with me doing the exact same thing to you that you are doing to me now.
Can I
And I'm the
give
only
you
one
some
that's
advice?
actually engaging with your direct questions.
Whoa! You didn't ask me any direct questions. What do you want me to answer? Do you want to go back and ask me more about cuties?
Do you think the age of consent? Like, I asked you.
You already know the answer to that.
Yes, no. Do you think?
You didn't ask me that.
You should already know the answer to all these questions you're asking me as well, based on what we've already spoken about. Like, it's really
no. I literally don't know that. I literally don't know the
bullets.
answer to these questions.
Why didn't you believe me when I said that to you? Why did you refuse to believe me when I said that to you?
You were lying,
and then you lying, and you clearly can't read me.
You said that you didn't know what I think the age of consent should be, and then you immediately turned around to your chat 2 minutes later and told them accurately what I think the age of consent should be.
I sat there and I made my best assumption.
Well, it was a great guess.
So maybe should I make you sit here and make your best assumption about me, or just let you ask me questions and tell me to bite the bullet when I give you answers you don't like?
Can I finish my advice?
Why is this all advice for me?
It doesn't have to be. You can say no. If you don't want my advice, I won't give it to you. Getting advice is annoying, especially from creators who are smaller than you and flailing. Trust me, I understand. And I'm smaller than you, and I'm flailing.
I mind that
you don't want to be
so
me. You don't want
condescending this whole call. And like you're psychoanalyzing me while condescending at times.
Yeah, that's a rough combination. I don't know how to turn that off. You're getting what?
You're getting like the assumptions you're making about me, where you're like, you're lying there, you're doing this. It's like you're doing this armchair psychology around me, and it's wrong, and it's sending me out of whack, and I'm having to sit here and think about it and be like, how do I answer that when
I sound like I know what I'm talking about, though? That's what's confusing. It seems like
So,
I'm
like, are
right.
you playing mind games? I'm so confused. You're
No, I'm
working me
trying to
into these
empathize with
corners
what
where
it's
it's
like to
like,
talk to me. I assume it's really annoying. So I'll try to be less condescending. It's not my intention to be condescending. I just come off that way.
I'm gonna start drinking Corona again, like my
Don't.
chat are
I don't
saying.
want you to drive. I don't want to drive you to drink. I will try to be less condescending. And if you think
Okay,
I'm being condescending, just call me out on it. That's fine, and I'll do my best not to.
I appreciate that, but can you appreciate, like, I don't mind having these difficult conversations. I mind the way that they've been presented to some degree, and I mind to some degree having them with someone that I don't know that well. Like,
Yeah.
these are the kind of conversations I appreciate having with someone like I really respect, and
Well, I can't
and
help
not
you
to say
there.
I disrespect you or something, but it's more so like I know you well, and I know you're asking me questions for my best intentions. When I start to feel like I'm being set up for mental traps, where it's like, oh, what's that? Give me a second. I just need to think of this. Um, like, why did you beat your wife? And it's like, wait, no, what? No, I didn't. And then you're like,
But I
bite the
did.
bullet. Just answer
I
the
did beat my
question.
wife.
Why did you beat your wife? Why did you beat your wife?
I
And it's
made a
like,
whole
no, no, no,
video
no, wait,
about why I
what?
used to beat my wife.
Well, no, I'm talking about your questions to me. And then I'm
I
saying,
know,
no,
but
that's
I'm
not what
saying I'm
happened.
giving you.
Here's
I'm trying
like,
to. I'm trying to lead by example. If you say why did you beat your wife, I'll just answer truthfully.
so you, but
I
that's
don't know
the
if I
thing.
beat her,
You're,
but I
is
hit
that
her.
projection onto me? Like, you want me to be like you when I just am not. I don't have that answer.
uh,
I
I don't
don't
want you
have
to.
the desire in me. There
I don't
isn't
want.
this desire in me that's like, yeah, no, I wish migrants would drown. I don't have that answer for you because that's not how I feel. Whereas your answer simply is, yeah, I think 11-year-olds are hot. And maybe that's your answer, which, is pretty
I
freaking
didn't say. Whoa,
wacky,
whoa,
but I'm
whoa!
still
I
talking
didn't.
to you here.
I didn't.
Or
I
I
think
thought
that's
they
a.
were in that movie, but I don't have
Yeah,
that kind of answer.
yeah. They're
You
not
want
all
me to bite
hot.
the
I
bullet.
don't even think all. 18-year-olds are hot. Some of them. Everybody's got their own proclivities. Now,
You want me to bite bullets, I can't bite. That's the problem. And
well,
that's not to say I don't have strange things about my mind, because I feel like this is what you look for. You're like, everyone has strange things in their mind.
I
Everyone
don't
has
think I
distant
don't think
thoughts,
I don't I
and I
don't
want to
I don't think I'm
find that in
asking you.
other people and have them
You
be
know,
honest about it.
I think
But
the
this
bullet
just
I'm looking
isn't
for
it.
you to bite is not strange at all.
Okay, what's the bullet you want me to bite?
It's going to be condescending. I'm going to be advising you. Are you sure you are ready?
All right, let's get the condescension.
If I were you, I'm going to guess how you feel.
And I'll tell you if you're wrong or right, because you've been misreading me a lot this call. I'll just
Okay.
tell you that. But
If I were you, I would probably regret attempting to block the ship on one level. Not overall and not holistically. I would stick to my guns about why I did it. And I think your answer that there are better ways to accomplish these things is good. But I think you're still sidestepping the drowning part, which is the only part people are fixated on. And I think, based on how I detect you feeling, and I could be wrong, I would probably just say I regret doing something that could have ended up killing people. And whether I believe the system's killing people indirectly, I could have much more directly ended up killing people, and I don't want blood on my hands. And I think there's a way for me to accomplish these goals and advocate for this without getting blood on my hands. And to the extent that I almost did or could have, I'm glad the ship brushed past us. I'm glad I failed to block it, because that would have been a mistake.
I'm not going to apologize or answer for hypotheticals.
It's not an apology. It would be an acknowledgement. If you are haunted by the idea that you could have ended up killing a bunch of people indirectly, if you're haunted by that, I would acknowledge that. I wouldn't be too proud to.
I'm not haunted by it because this is a hypothetical. Like, I have no haunting about this. Nor do I, like, okay, sorry, I've just got to be like the
Well, it's fine.
ministers that put in the policy in Australia where they said, nope, stopping all the boats, no more, zero. We're putting out advertisements. We're
Hey,
taking
I
it all
don't want to
back.
do
We
this
don't care if there's a few
whataboutism thing.
drownings.
You're assuming
As
I have
long
a
as
very.
it stops the overall trend
This
of
is not.
drowning and death,
The problem
then
with
we're
your
happy.
whataboutism.
I don't think they have.
Stop it.
Sorry,
Lauren.
go ahead.
The problem with the whataboutism arguments is that you're assuming I have views about other politicians or your political opponents, or that I am one that I don't have. I don't care about that. And bringing them up does not answer the question of the problem, I think, or the part that freaks me out is that.
Sorry, 1 second. 1 second. I'm so sorry. Real life. Sorry, what's that? Sorry, real life called.
I understand.
All right, sorry. Continue.
The part that freaks me out is the idea that you did something that could have resulted in people drowning, and that you either are not disturbed by this. And when I say disturbed by it, I'm saying in a complex way. You may still be proud of what you did or attempted to do.
I feel like you're not thinking hard enough about what you're saying.
Okay.
Do you think that every BLM activist that takes over a street should feel the same way I feel because they may have possibly stopped an ambulance?
Well,
Should
why don't
they
we
have an
let's make
internal-
the analogy being a BLM activist blocking an ambulance.
The only difference is what they'd be doing was supporting illegal activity, whereas what I was doing was supporting the.
I don't like the
application of
whataboutism
the law.
argument. We can go down this road, but it's
No.
I don't think it's gonna. I don't think
because
it's a good
you're
idea.
putting me in a position of wanting me to feel bad about a hypothetical that didn't happen. That you could apply
I don't
to
want you to feel bad. No. I think you're misunderstanding. You're misunderstanding.
How my chat are reading it is they're saying he's projecting his own self-guilt
Yes,
onto you,
exactly,
Lauren.
exactly,
He's
exactly.
trying to move the goalposts to make you sound guilty when you're
No,
not.
let me
And it's
explain.
Really frustrating.
I think you're misunderstanding then. I'm saying this is how I would feel, and this is how I am guessing you feel. If you don't feel this way, then I have new advice. So if you don't feel haunted by the possibility that you could have killed people by blocking the ship, then I would certainly not say you feel that. I don't think you should lie. I'm saying that this is how I would feel. So if you don't feel haunted by that, then I still think you're way too defensive. Then I think you just need to say.
Because there's nothing I can say, because people they're creating a hypothetical I need to apologize for. Nothing happened.
You don't need to apologize. No, you shouldn't apologize. You should never apologize. You shouldn't apologize. But you're getting way too defensive then. You just need to stick to the point. The central point that the problem people have is that you did something that could have resulted in people drowning. You just have to say, yes, I did. But I thought it was the right thing to do. And I still think it was the right thing to do.
Okay, that's fair.
And you know,
it's the right thing to do. I thought it would lead to less death. I still think that.
Great.
Yeah.
So then just say that. I wouldn't dance around and say, well, say like,
I would take today because I think it needs to it needs to remain in the government's hands.
Okay, but that's
but
you have it gets complicated when you say it's not the same approach I would take today, because it sounds like you're trying to have it both ways. And I would be really clear.
It's not the same approach I'd take today, because in retrospect, it's not helpful. It wasn't. It didn't.
That's
have
fine. But the only
effect.
reason anyone brings this event up is because they think you're either heartless, or they think that you're super radicalized.
Mm-hmm. And I think they don't understand anything about immigration policy or anything that's happening on the ground there. whenever I hear them say this.
That's fine, but whatever they need to understand, you're not going to be able to impart in this one conversation. So if it were me, I don't know, I would just own it and be like, yeah, I did something that could have resulted in people dying. And, you know, if you want to get into kind of like super serious activism, that's some of the shit that you have to wrestle with it. And I've wrestled with it, and I think I did the right thing.
What if I sat here and I spent this whole call pressing you on how your review of Cuties may have made a child get raped?
Let's do that.
And that you should apologize for
let's
that.
go through it.
Okay,
That's
let's flip that script. Do you think that that would be an appropriate line of questioning?
I mean, you lost your Patreon because of this event, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I lost my Patreon, or it was a widely seen criticism of me that I caused a child to get raped, or could have, like, nobody else has said that, but hypothetically, do you want to pretend they have?
Yeah.
And I'll walk you through what I would say.
Yeah, because once again, it doesn't matter whether someone said it or not. If you were popular enough, I'm sure people would. If it got like, I'm not.
Oh, excuse me.
I'm not trying to condescend, but you know, people say a lot of things on the internet about everyone.
Right. Okay. So what I would say to that is, yes, I can see how talking about these things in a nuanced way, in a forum for people who are largely not the brightest people, you know, it's not like if I wrote an academic paper about cuties that only PhD students or whatever were going to read, you can have a little more leeway with that. And that's part of my problem with cuties, is maybe Netflix isn't the right place for it, because it is much more easy to misinterpret when it's just being blasted to a mass audience. And like YouTube audiences often don't even watch the video. So I would say, yeah, that is one of the downsides to talking about a complex, nuanced, and dangerous topic in such a blunt way, with no disclaimers and no guide to explain to people what I'm fucking talking about, on a huge platform with tons of viewers, that people are going to misinterpret what I say and then go do something horrible as a result. Absolutely. And I have to live with that. And so do you, because you can't stop me. I'm not going to start bringing up like, whoa, what about Lauren Southern? Have you seen her videos? What do you think she's doing? What about the people? What about your like? Don't defend yourself. Just don't. You don't have to. Just be like, yeah, you're right. People could have drowned. They didn't, but they could have.
They didn't, but they could have.
That doesn't change. That doesn't change my stance.
That doesn't change my. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. They didn't, but they could have. But either way, the larger intent.
Maybe let's just say maybe you don't have the balls to drown 50 people to save 10,000. I do. So maybe you shouldn't be an activist or a politician or a military commander. Maybe you can't be maybe you couldn't be president.
I think the way you stated that sounds really bad. You don't have the balls to drown. That sounds like it's being done actively.
That's right? What I would do. I would go on the offense. I would go on the offense and say, like, look,
between actively doing something,
just call them a
and
pussy.
Being a
no, fuck
effect.
that. Just call them a pussy. Just be like, look, I could be a military commander and you couldn't. That's all I've learned from this conversation. I'm willing to kill dozens to save thousands, and you're not. So go fuck yourself. I don't agree with you. I don't feel that way. I'm not willing to do that. I don't even think your cause is good. I don't agree with your anti-immigration stance, and I think it's overall like and kind of inherently racist. I just have a lot of problems.
What's race? Who said the immigrants have to be a certain color?
Well, they are.
Right, but
don't have to be. They just happen
what is
to be.
illegal, and what does illegal immigration have to do?
My point is that I'm not giving you this advice because I agree with you. I'm just saying, if this is your stance, I don't get why you don't just like, you know, lay it out. Just say like, fuck it. What are they going to say to you if you say yes? If you put 50 immigrants in a cage and gave me a lever to drown them, and I knew it was going to save 10,000, that there's no other way to save them except that, I would do it.
No.
What the fuck are
No.
they going to say to
No.
that?
No. 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 You're fundamentally like that's like trolley question stuff, right? Because then
Well, I
that's
think that's the
the
question.
the
That's why
fallout. The
people are disturbed.
fallout of an action is different than directly doing an
Nobody
action. So
wants
like
to
I
hear
would
you
not.
explain this shit. Do you get what
Well,
I'm
they
saying?
have
It's
to
not
because otherwise
emotionally, it
you're not
doesn't
gonna.
emotionally.
I
No.
get what you're saying, but people,
Okay, so
if you
let's go
don't have
back to
time to
cuties.
listen to the depth and complexity of an idea, well, then
But there's
too
no
bad.
depth
You're
and
not going to
complexity
understand
to
it.
I thought the girls and
No,
cuties were
there
hot.
is.
No, it's pretty
Okay, well,
straightforward.
maybe not. See, you're projecting your mind onto mine again, and that's the fundamental problem
Oh,
here.
I
Is
told
you're
you
projecting the way you
I'm
think about
advising you.
situations
I'm
onto me.
advising you.
I don't want your advice.
Then I'll stop.
Oh, but like that comes into okay. So I have the ability to, kill one person to take all their organs to save 5 in a hospital. No, I think that's wrong.
Well,
I
then
think
you're
that the
contradicting.
fallout of a situation blown up 10,000-fold in addressing me when you could ask this question about almost every policy a politician puts in place, about every action people take every day, about the boat that people tried to stop the Sea Star. You could ask this about everyone, but it is being focused on me for inherently political reasons and because this is an inherently emotional subject for individuals. But if you look at it on an actual logical level, you are asking me to apologize for a hypothetical that can be applied to most people on a daily basis.
Okay. So I don't want to continue to be condescending. That what you just said doesn't resonate with me. Do you care?
I understand that you probably are going to say that there's a difference between this political activism and getting in your car in the morning. I get that.
Do you care?
Do I care about what?
That what you just said doesn't resonate with me. Or do you care about why?
I fear that there's fear we're going to have difficulty resonating with each other at any point because there's been some fundamental misunderstanding at some point here. And also, I am getting a feeling, I'll be honest, of bad faith from your side. And it's causing me to get frustrated and not engage with you on a, like, oh, let's just have a conversational level. It's pushing me to just be like, you're trying to work me into a corner here that I'm not agreeing with the premise you're putting down. I don't want to, the fact that I'm even, this is precisely why in our Twitter conversation, I remember reading your message when you're like, I don't just want to chat anymore. I want to question you about your past. I was like, oh gosh, this is going to be like an inquisition. This is going to be
Do you want to change the
not
subject?
trying to understand my thoughts. This isn't going to be trying to understand my approach to things. You're going to want me to say certain things to you.
I don't care
And
what
I
you say.
remember,
Wait a
I
second.
remember
Wait,
doing
stop. Do you want to talk about something else?
I do, but can I finish this thought?
Yes.
Okay. I remember doing an interview with, I did a horrible documentary. It was a terrible decision with The Atlantic, and it was just the worst hit job of the world. I really trusted the guy. He completely cut out so much context to everything we were talking about. And I remember I should have recognized this by the 50th time he asked me if I was a racist. Because you don't ask someone the same question 50 times unless you didn't like the answer you got the first 50 times and you want a different one.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want me to not be racist. He wanted me to be racist because that was helpful for his documentary. So he kept pressing on that question to get the answer he wanted. You want me to feel bad for a hypothetical that I'm never going to feel bad for because it didn't happen.
I don't want you to feel bad.
You want me to feel bad for the possibility of a hypothetical.
I literally just gave you the advice
Or
of
you want
saying
me to say that
I just get my advice. The last piece of advice I gave you was to just say that you don't feel bad. If you don't feel bad, then just say you don't feel bad.
I don't, and I said that the first time. I said.
Okay, so
I mean, I think
I don't know why you think I want you to
approach,
feel
but...
bad. I feel bad about what you did, but you don't.
All right,
We don't have to feel the same way about it. I don't.
I didn't. Yeah, like my chat, or like I didn't say you should feel bad. I just said it should haunt you. Like,
It's.
okay. I'm just gonna. I'm not trying to appeal to my chat, but like my chat are seeing a lot of what I'm seeing, which is I
I'm sure
genuinely
they
feel
are.
like there's like a level of manipulation. It feels like a level of manipulation going
I
on.
I am haunted by it, and I would be if it were me. And if you're not, then fine. There's this assumption that we have to feel the same way, and I don't agree. I don't care if you feel the same way. I'm interested to find out how you do feel.
And why do you keep giving me advice on how I should feel,
I'm not. I'm giving you advice on how
or
you
what I
should
should
communicate.
say?
Because when I'm asking you how you feel about what happened, you're bringing up all these politicians and ships and shit that I've never heard of, and I don't fucking care. So
Well, that kind of okay. Well, that's the fundamental problem is you don't know anything about this topic.
I don't.
So you feel haunted. You're like projecting a feeling that I should explain
Have you
about
seen
a topic
Cuties?
you don't understand. Yeah, I did see Cuties, and I wrote a review of it myself.
Okay.
So this is what's very frustrating for me is like I
That's
feel
fine.
haunted about this topic. I understand
do you think
none of the
that people
context
do you
about-
think
I don't
that
know any of the
people
politicians,
do you
and
think
you
that
should communicate the same way I communicate?
okay,
about the
are you saying I
topic.
shouldn't? Do you think people who have not seen Cuties have no right to have feelings about it?
Actually, yes. I think that's probably a bad idea for them to have strong feelings that they articulate about something they haven't seen.
Do you think I can control how I feel about hearing a story about you?
No?
Okay, so
guess
then
not.
so if you don't want to talk about it with me, if I don't know a lot about the situation, then just say that.
But you're acting like you do.
I don't.
That's the frustration.
Okay,
Why
then
are
just
you
say that.
acting like you do?
Just say, look, I don't want to talk to another condescending douchebag who doesn't know what he's talking about. I understand that the story is salacious and maybe upsetting to you, but here's some articles. If you read these and then you still want to talk about it, then get back to me. But right now, I'm not going to talk about it with somebody who's uninformed.
You're right. You know what? You're right in that sense that I should have just been straightforward from the beginning. And that's why at the beginning, which first mistake, I tried to explain the wider context of the problem because I was like, there's no way we're going to be able to have this conversation without the wider context, without an understanding
Okay.
of the politics.
Okay.
And
So that's fine.
it's just impossible.
That's okay. Then that's fine. Then we can't talk about it. So the only thing I would say then is, and you could say this is the reason, but a lot of people who are wary of you or freaked out by you are not going to have a deep understanding of the context, and they're never going to. So
Sure.
if you're not
interested, which is why I
that's fine. That's fine.
initially,
You can absolutely choose.
about
You can
my past,
absolutely
'cause
choose
there's
to
no
not.
point.
Sure, you can choose to not engage with people who don't have the context. But the only issue is that you can't talk across the divide then, if that's the case. But maybe that's fine, and maybe you don't need to. Like your critics are not going to you're not going to be able to address what your critics are saying about you
I can
if you
speak to people who are going to listen to what I'm saying rather than people that are going to give a moral judgment about a circumstance they don't know about.
there's a lot more of the second group than the first group. That's all I'm saying.
Sure. That's fair.
Okay. Well, let's move on.
I'd
then.
speak to Destiny because he's not like that, you know? This is kind of the common factor between us, is that we can speak to someone who doesn't immediately do that moral judgment. You should feel this way. I feel this way about this, so you have to feel this way about this, and this is how you should communicate your feeling about that. He just tries to understand your perspectives and views.
I don't think you should feel bad about it.
But you keep projecting how I should explain how I feel about it and how you feel about it, even though you don't understand the complexities of the situation.
Well, one of my
once again,
suggestions.
I don't say that.
One of my suggestions to you was that you should say, I don't give a fuck. Like, that's not my problem.
But why would I say I don't give a fuck when I clearly give many fucks because I've done documentaries on the subject and spent years investigating it. I deeply
that's
care
fine.
about
That's
the
fine.
which is why I can't just.
My point
which
is
is why I get
my
hyped
point is
up and
that
start talking about it and trying to explain all of the details.
Yes.
Because I really care and want people to understand, not to just have this, don't care, blah, blah. Like,
my point is that what you are perceiving or intending to be as giving context is coming off to me as evasive. So like there's no question you can ask me about cuties that is going to take me longer than like 15 seconds to answer.
It's a fucking Netflix movie about girls twerking. This is one of the most complex historical issues in the world. Migration. It's got thousands of political policies written about it, thousands of lives lost, millions of different stories and routes people take. Like, what the fuck? You expect me to answer that simply just because you can answer a simple question about an hour-long Netflix movie about little girls? Like, it's unbelievable.
Well, I could say the same. I could say that pedophilia and attraction to children and child abuse and human trafficking are huge issues with thousands of lives lost. Moving parts. The human brain is the most complex piece of machinery ever invented by nature or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying I'm not.
You just said. All right, continue.
I reject your claim that I'm telling you how you should feel.
Okay.
I don't think telling you how I feel is the same as telling you how you should feel.
Well, okay, so maybe I should have just clarified. I don't care how you feel about this circumstance because you don't have the context or understanding to apply a proper analysis, even emotionally, in my opinion.
That's fair.
To this circumstance.
That could be true.
That's my belief. And maybe
maybe
you'll look into it more. I understand there are a lot of things that people have initial human disgust and outrage over, but I believe a lot of that actually comes from social conditioning. I believe you've been socially conditioned to an extent to have certain disgust response about things we don't fully understand or have looked into.
Absolutely. And so then my next question is, how do you think we should handle it if the story scares me and makes me scared of you to some extent, and we don't really have time for you to give me the full context because it is too complicated? And
I can send you a few documentaries I've done on it. It's a speech I did on it. Like,
yeah, but I'm saying in this conversation, we're already having the conversation. Yeah. So my question is, how do we handle it if there's a story about you that scares me, that does resonate with me in a way that freaks me out, but you're saying that I don't have the context to intelligently form an emotion, much less express it to you, or expect you to care about it? Do you think that
you can form an no? Oh, sorry. Finish your question.
I'm not attacking you. Do you? I
had an answer for what you were saying, but I want to let you finish.
Why? Yeah, I just want to genuinely ask you, how do we handle the situation? Like, clearly what we're doing isn't working, right? So like talking past each other, where you feel like I'm moralizing and I feel like you are not like connecting with the kind of blunt points that I want you to hit. And you don't want to do that because you feel like doing that would be oversimplifying and missing the like real context and meaning of what happened. Do we just not talk about it, or is there a way to talk about it that's better?
There is a way to talk about it. You can absolutely form an emotion. You can absolutely express that emotion, but then don't put yourself in a position where you're giving me advice about something that you've just admitted you don't fully understand.
Yes. I don't want to be giving you advice on I see what you're saying. I don't want to give you advice on how to talk about this thing. It's more just about how to not appear defensive.
I can agree that I appear defensive, and I can agree that I don't address this as well as I would like, or
have you seen 8 Mile?
As I would like.
Have you seen 8 Mile?
A long time ago, and I barely
remember the last rap battle in 8 Mile?
Vaguely, yeah.
So Eminem goes first, and his freestyle is about himself, about how he's a loser, about how his friend isn't Uncle Tom, about how his other friend shot his dickhead off with his own gun, and it's like he's ripping on himself. And then when he finishes, Anthony Mackie goes next, and there's nothing he can say because he's already destroyed himself and the other person. There's nowhere to go from that. So I think I'm much more of that school. I wouldn't take it as far as I do, but like, if you just take whatever the most true bad thing about you is with regard to this and just say it first, like what would anybody say to you about it? I think that's what I'm trying to get at.
This
I'm
is
not
what
trying
I think
to.
is interesting.
Yeah.
When I first watched your content and when I listened to your conversations, I think what I found, what I liked about the way your brain worked.
What you used to like.
And fascinating. No. I just think you're applying it badly here.
Okay.
What I found interesting about how your brain worked was you feel there's, correct me if I'm wrong, you feel there's like this uniting factor in people of us all kind of having horrible thoughts and horrible things we've done that the ego and pride don't allow us to just own and address. Before I move on, can you confirm or deny that I'm analyzing that appropriately?
I think it's a similar thing. My lens is more that social norms where they currently are restrictive and isolating because we, especially on social media and the internet in general, we cannot express things that are more true to ourselves. Instead, we're expected to sell ad time and be safe for a paper towel roll ad to play before we talk, rather than to really connect with each other and ourselves. So it's kind of the same thing, but I find social norms stifle us at where they are now, so that it's harder for us to connect to each other, and it leaves us feeling like we're the only sick one in a world full of normal people.
Yeah. So I think I understand why you grasped onto it, this flare situation, as kind of that thing that would be that for me.
Mm-hmm.
This thing that I've done that is like people are horrified by, and maybe I just need to accept it, that I am this thing that is horrifying to the world instead of just completely misunderstood or whatever, or you want me to grasp onto that in some kind of way. But that is not the thing for me. I get annoyed when it's brought up because it was like literally such a short point of my life that gets so highlighted and is almost constantly misunderstood and is almost impossible to talk about, like in this conversation, because no one has the wider context or understands the policy issues or blah 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 blah. Even the people who think they do, like I know Lonerbox did a big video on it and could deep dive into that, but like that's not the thing that when I look at myself in the mirror and I think, oh my gosh, you're horrifying, Lauren, like I dislike this thing about myself, I just need to accept this thing about myself. That's not even in my peripheral. There are things I have like that because I'm a human being, and I have those things where I look in the mirror and I'm like, geez, like get your life together, get your mind together. That's not it. And so I've spent this whole conversation just kind of irritated with like this superficial thing that's been blown up for headlines that 99% of people discussing it don't even care about or understand and misinterpret. And I feel like you've projected that general understanding of people and want to connect people through the things they're horrified by in themselves to the wrong object. It's the thing that the public and the headlines like, but it's not the thing that personally does that for me. It's not the thing I look in the mirror and think about all day and toss and turn over at night about, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
It does, but I still think you're telling me that I think that you should be horrified by what you did, but I don't think you should be. I don't think you have to feel. I don't think you should feel about it the way I feel about it. That's just how I feel, and how I would feel, I think, if I were you. And how I feel, I mean, like
no,
you
wouldn't feel that way if you were me because you'd have a lot more context.
Well, you understand what I'm saying. If I were suddenly teleported into your body, so I get what you're saying, that I think that you're just in denial. I don't know. I'm thinking about it, but that's not what I was pushing at before. It's more like, um, I just think defending yourself is a bad idea. That's what I'm pushing against. I don't want
You
any.
think
It
in
makes both of us
general,
look
like
bad.
what
It
if
makes us
people
both
what if
look bad.
people are
Yes,
actually
in
wrong
general.
about you though? What if someone what if people are genuinely wrong? Should
Well,
you
let's
not
let's
stand
let's
up and
let's
say
let's.
you're
Okay, why don't you
wrong?
interrogate me for a while, and then I'll
Want
I'll
to?
show you what I mean. So ask
Or
me
just like
what we can flip. People think I'm a rapist or a pedophile or whatever, and you can ask me about it, and I will do my best to not defend myself, even if I think you're wrong.
no, but this is like what your I'm a pedophile video was.
Yeah.
This is like you just make a rap saying I'm this, I'm that.
Well, no, that's a
But you,
joke. That's a joke. You're
yeah,
not.
I
I
know,
don't
but
think you should
I
make
know, I
a.
know
You
that's a
shouldn't make a
joke.
rap song called "I'm a Migrant Drowner." That's not a good idea.
So I shouldn't do what you did.
You shouldn't do what I did. No.
Do you regret that video?
No, but I have different goals from you.
That's what I was more interested about at the beginning of this conversation,
Okay.
because I think there's a big difference between the two of us. There's similarities in the sense of how people react to us.
Yes.
There's a difference that disturbed me about you.
Okay.
This is something that when I look at you, I can't figure out. It makes my mind tick. Is I did something that, like I said, I'd go back and I'd do it differently now, but I did something that I genuinely in my heart was like, I think this is going to make a better world. I think this is going to save lives. I think this is truly politically important. And I am willing to make sacrifices to my reputation, to my ability to travel, to my life potentially, because I think this is important. I don't understand why you would make the same sacrifices reputationally and physically that I would for something like the movie Cuties or saying something edgy. That doesn't make sense to me.
It's not about cuties. It's about telling the truth. It's about if I sit down in front of my camera and I want
Was
to.
it an important truth?
The
There are a lot of
truth
things
is
that are true, but some are important and some aren't.
the truth is important to me, specifically the ability to tell it. So if I turn my camera on and I sit down and I'm going to say, okay, let me give my unvarnished thoughts about this film. I don't want fear of other people or social media companies to prevent me from doing that.
So, like, would you sit down and make a video, like, saying, okay, so when I think about the truth,
Yeah.
obviously I'm a very pro free speech individual. I dislike the censorship going on. I agree people need to have more honest conversations desperately.
Okay.
And that's the only way we're going to fix any of this mess that we're in is honest conversations, hard conversations. This is a
Yeah.
hard conversation, but I'm enjoying it to a degree. Some parts not so much, some others,
know.
yes. But like when I think of the truth, I think of like you could have an abusive husband that looks at his wife and says, "You are an obese woman, and people think you look disgusting."
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's true. Was that an important truth for him to highlight? Or was it more important for him to use his time with truth to highlight that I love you? Maybe save his marriage. I love our kids and do this.
I
Like
think
there are truths that deserve to be highlighted and some that don't. And you can fight for free speech in both ways. I just don't understand why you chose that one.
I think that it's up to you to decide what's important for you to say and what is
Is it?
important for you to tell
You
the
don't
truth
think
about.
there's any greater you don't think there's anything greater than your own self-judgment?
When it comes to me deciding what I want to say or what's true, no. I don't think
There's
so.
nothing There's no greater, there's
Because
nothing
other
greater that
people
dictates what is
other
true and what is important truth and
well,
what
other people
isn't,
don't
other
tell you not
than
to say
you.
things because they're not true. They tell you not to say things because they don't like hearing them or they're upset about them. No one's complaining about my cuties review saying it's not true that you think the girls in cuties are hot. That's not their problem with it. They're saying it freaked us out and we hate it or whatever. That's the complaint. And so, um, yeah, we all have to make a judgment about like how important is this for me to say and how is it going to be received most likely, and then some kind of balancing act. But I believe that the how are other people going to receive it part for in most of society, uh, and especially online, is a bit oppressive, and I think we need to kind of expand. Just like 50 years ago or 100 years ago, we would never have been able to have most of this conversation
No,
because it
but
would just
words are important. This is why people are horrified by what you say. And the thoughts we allow ourselves to have and to articulate are important to a degree as well. Now, I don't believe in censoring them, but like you said, I don't believe in censoring you saying that you feel haunted by some of my actions, right?
yeah.
And there's a difference between people's disgust and dislike towards someone's behavior, what they speak, and censorship. That this is true as well. Now, once again, I'm gonna. I will always bring things back to the book I'm reading in that moment.
Okay.
The very opening of Chesterton's Heretics, he talks about how everyone wants a more liberal, progressive world, and we all want to have free speech. We want to be able to talk about everything except everything, seemingly, because no one wants to talk about religion or what happens after we die or like deeper kind of questions. We just want to be able to talk about everything. And one point he makes is everyone who's pro free speech, they want to allow, the nihilists to talk. And if you don't allow the nihilists to talk, then you're anti free speech and you're making the world a worse place. And it's just words. All they're saying is, the world is meaningless, life is empty. Why can't they just say these things? Great, let them speak, but don't act like there's no importance to what they're saying. Don't act like the only point is for them to be able to say it. Because if it is true, if what they are saying is true and it spreads that life is pointless, life is pain, and there is no meaning, then we would be giving murderers medals. And I don't want to live in a world like that. So
Okay.
what we say has meaning, and how people judge it, and how we choose to determine things of importance within our own mind and regulate our own mind matters.
Okay. So you're asking, I think, two questions. One is why was I willing to say what I said about cuties, and the second question is, like, why am I willing to face the social consequences? And then two, why did I want to say it in the first place?
I suppose that follows, yeah.
Okay. Are you asking me to go to the second question then?
Whichever one you would like to start with.
Well, I think I kind of answered the first one in that
Okay.
those are my unvarnished thoughts, and I want to be able to say my unvarnished thoughts on my YouTube channel. What's the point of having one if I can't do that? For me, that's what I want.
Okay.
I don't want to sell
Okay,
paper
that's
towels.
what you want to do.
Yeah. I want to
Why
make
do you feel that those thoughts are important? I understand you want to say them. Why do you feel they're important?
I wanted to engage with the part of the movie that I think resonated with the most with me. There's a lot of stuff in the movie about like religion and culture and assimilation that I didn't care that much about. And that's not the part that people were reacting to. No one was, no, I mean, most people don't even know about that part. What resonated with me was objectifying children.
Why
And
do you feel like it was important that you make a video about what resonated with you?
I think that's kind of how I make most of my videos is like, and even this conversation. I asked you about the migrant thing, not because I think it's like objectively the most important thing to talk about. It's the part that I'm stuck on. And so after watching Cuties, that's the part that hooked me. And I think that's just how I decide to what I feel the strongest about is what I'm going to make a video about.
Like why? So it's just based on, you know, what you feel that day and what's kind of people are talking about. So it's just like you're,
And
you know, a lot of people. That's fine. A lot of YouTubers make their decision that way. I feel like I like this topic, and so I'm going to talk about it. But the reason that people are horrified by yours is they're like, you had a feeling and a thing you wanted to talk about, and you know that's not. There's nothing noble or not noble about just making a video because it's viral or because you're interested in it personally.
mm-hmm.
But there is a question when that topic comes to something that can harm the mental state of the populace, right?
I'm happy
So like
to
if someone
answer.
said,
I'm happy to answer that question if you want to ask. But I choose my. I'd say feelings probably are the main thing that sort of drives my channel's nose. And the other thing is like, do I have something to say that is unique? So if I watch Cuties and I think, oh, this is horrible child abuse, child porn, and that's all I have to say about it, I probably wouldn't have made the video because it'd be like there's no point in me saying that. Everybody else is already saying it. So I'm looking for things where I feel like I have something like genuinely meaningful to add to the sphere.
what was meaningful about what you added?
Just because something turns
Just
you
because
on.
something's different, and just because something is something other people aren't saying doesn't mean it's meaningful.
No, I'm saying I have two requirements. It has to be meaningful, and it has to feel to me like it's not something everyone else is saying. So like I didn't make a video on Ghislaine Maxwell. So I'm like, okay, like yeah, she trafficked children. She got arrested. She got charged, and now she's convicted. Like, yep, I don't have anything to say about that.
But do you understand what I'm saying when I say just because it's something different that you're saying, just because it's something that hasn't been said by other people, doesn't mean it's something that's meaningful or needs to be said. So I'm asking you,
yes,
what
that alone
about
does
what
not
you
make
said
it.
made it meaningful?
Well, I can tell you what's meaningful to me.
So you just did it because it's meaningful to you, not because you felt it was going to have some greater
impact. I felt it
effect
would resonate
for
with other.
goodness,
Yeah, absolutely. I felt it would resonate with other people and mean something to them too.
What kind of resonation were you looking for in people? Like what were you seeking when you like I can tell you, you know, what I'm seeking when I make certain videos or when I discuss certain ideas, what kind of thing I want to resonate with people. And sometimes it's a hit and a miss, and people resonate in ways where I'm like, oh man, that's not what I was trying to communicate at all, right? But I'm trying to understand, like why did you feel this was meaningful? Why? Why? There's a big why there for a lot of parts of that.
I think most people who end up sexualizing relationships with children probably don't know that they're doing that or don't intend to do that at the outset. There are definitely predators who know what they're doing and know that it's wrong. And then there are pedophiles who know that they want to do it and may or may not do it, and, you know, may do it unknowingly to certain degrees. And I think that there's a lot of just everybody else who might end up flirting with a student or a personal training client. I used to be a personal trainer, and like it's very easily for those relationships to become sexualized. And so if we can't recognize when something turns us on or is tempting to us on some degree, I think it becomes much harder to prevent that from happening. So on a societal level and on an individual level. So there's a time in society, I think, where it was okay to just acknowledge that like 16-year-olds are generally pretty hot. And even though the age of consent is 16 in like half the country, that's still seen as like, now it's seen as pedophilia to say that. on the internet. And then you'll get weirdos will dive in and say, like, no, that's a phobophilia or whatever, and they get really mad, and then it makes it more confusing, and they look bad, and then it's just a big, like, embarrassing car crash, and then nobody wants to touch it or talk about it. But I think the general understanding that teenagers are pretty attractive to adults, generally speaking, they can be. If we lose sight of that fact, I think that opens up the door to a lot of child abuse that doesn't have to happen. Subtle psychological child abuse, accidentally sexualizing relationships, or falling down a slippery slope and suddenly realizing you're doing something inappropriate that you shouldn't be doing, or never realizing it, or whatever. It's like being an alcoholic. Like, if you admit you have a problem, or you admit the temptation is there, then you know you shouldn't be around blah 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 alcohol, or whatever the thing is that the destructive impulse.
Okay, I'm trying to grapple with this. Like, so, like, for me, when I hear that, I'm like, man, like, that just doesn't apply to me. Like, generally I'm attracted to men who are, well, like, just older than me. Like, I don't even my own age, I'm like, you're a bit like, like 5 years older than me. That's like my
When you were a
age
teenager,
range.
did you notice that you were able to form flirtatious connections with older men far over 18?
Far over 18?
Yeah.
I had guys flirt with me, yeah.
You never flirted
But
back.
I recognized looking back that was unhealthy. Very
I'm
unhealthy
not
power
interested in
dynamics.
moralizing about it. I'm saying you are aware that as a teenage girl, you were able to form, like, some kind of erotic connection with adult men, right?
When I was a teenager, I was attracted to other teenagers. Like, that's a reality. But I recognized that there were adult men that were attracted to me, yes, and that existed.
And that if you
yeah.
wanted to, you could have probably sexualized those relationships.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
This happens often.
It happens all the
But
time.
okay,
So
I gotta jump in here though. Because this
Okay.
is why. So I don't. First of all, I want to just, unless you have like maybe studies or something to show me. I don't know if it's on a general level.
I don't think we did a study to show anybody that adults are attracted to teenagers. You can, if you're welcome to, like, you know what? Why don't you find one?
I just don't.
Let's look.
Like,
we've been talking.
Me, okay, maybe it's
just
my friend group, but my friend groups, they generally are like,
okay.
It's like their own
age. Here, do me this favor, Lauren. We've been talking for a while. It's a slow-paced conversation. You can, if you're welcome to, like, you know what? Why don't you find one?
I just don't.
Let's look. Like, we've been talking.
Okay, maybe it's just my friend group, but my friend groups, they generally are like, It's like their own age.
Here, do me this favor, Lauren. We've been talking for a while. It's a slow-paced conversation.
Yeah.
Spend the next 2 minutes seeing if you can find any study that would answer this question. Are adults attracted to teenagers? Say 16-year-olds. Are 16-year-olds genuinely found attractive?
Yes, I'm sure that exists. Yes, I'm sure that exists.
Do you think the study would show that adults are generally attracted to 16-year-olds, or do you think it would show that actually they're not, and that it is a unique, weird thing that I'm saying?
Okay, what I was going to say there is I recognize that exists. This is where you get things like pedophilia, of course, where people.
I don't think pedophilia has anything to do with being attracted to 16-year-olds.
I was talking about being attracted to younger people in general. Like, that's.
I know, but right now I'm talking about teenagers.
Mismatched aged. Okay, so talking about teenagers, sure, yes, I'm sure there are a decent amount of.
Well, are you still asking me why I made the video, or are we just going to get lost in the weeds?
Okay, I wanted to get to a point. I was getting to a point here. My point was, I think a lot of these things that we are attracted to do come from socialization. Would you agree with that?
You think cavemen were not attracted to 16-year-old girls?
No, I'm sure they were, but there are a lot of things
so
that
then,
are
no,
due to socialization.
I don't think
a lot
that.
Of factors.
I've seen.
No, you don't think that there's a level of socialization in the fact that even just within like a small range, curly, big, poofy hair used to be what was hot and trendy in society, and that's what the hot girl had, and now it tends to be a certain different style. Now it's big lips, big butt, this kind of stuff. We have styles and certain socializations that
Yeah,
change
I hear what you're
attraction
saying. My
to a
answer
degree.
is I don't think socialization has that big of an effect on age of attraction. Broad
What about
socialization. I think if you abuse children, they will be more likely to grow up to be pedophiles. I do believe that. But I don't think that like trends are going to make people are going to change the average age of attraction of people
do you
in
think
general.
social norms affect people's behavior?
Yes.
Right. Okay, so that's more so what I'm getting at. I was
Well,
explaining
I
it
don't think they
badly.
I well, when you
So
I think they
can I
affect people's
finish what I
behavior.
was gonna?
I don't think they dictate people's behavior, especially around sex, to the extent like gay people. Like no matter what you fucking do to them, they keep fucking each other in the ass, no matter how hard you try to make them stop. And so and they're willing to die for it. So I don't think that you can change people's sexual attractions that much with social norms. No.
So what about their sexual behaviors?
Yeah, I don't think you can change people's sexual behaviors
So
with
you
social
don't
norms.
think that when guys watch lots of porn and they start watching freakier and freakier porn, they don't start to want that in real life from women?
Are you asking me what I think? Or are you telling me what you think? It's clear what you
I
think,
think
and it's.
that. Do
I
you
know you
think
think
that?
that. No, not really. I think it probably happens to some degree, but I think it's a kind of a superficial swaying on top. I don't think it matters that much.
Really?
Yeah,
I completely disagree with that. I think
I
I
don't see
see
as
it
much
all the time.
causation. I
I
see.
think that porn has severely affected people's relationships.
I know,
And if
and
you
you
go to
probably
any
think
counselor, if you go to
cuties in
any
my video
if
are
you go to any
normalizing
person who
things.
does work on this, they'll talk about how that is one of the major
That's
complexities that happens in most relationship dynamics is someone's watched a ton of porn and it's affected their desires and what they seek from their
yes.
partner.
I don't believe in that, but I see. I get what you're
You don't
saying, and
believe in
it's
that even though it's observed constantly every day.
yes. I don't really believe in it. I think there's probably a little truth to it, but it's not how I see things now. I don't generally agree
I'm
with
sorry,
that.
that's just wild. Like men
I'm a
is
wild
even
dude. But I don't want to get stuck in the weeds here arguing with you about every little fucking
no,
point
it's
about
not the
this.
weeds. This is a fact. Okay.
The weeds of
There have
facts, the
been a
weeds of things
ton
that
of
you think are
studies. There
facts.
have been a ton of studies.
Okay,
You can
a
speak
tons
to
of
everyone on a
studies. You
personal
could
level.
throw
Everyone,
a stack of, you could hit me in the face with a stack of these studies,
if
and I'm
you
not.
simply don't believe that
I don't believe
pornography
you. I
affects
don't agree with
people's-
you, and I don't want to keep saying it. So what is your fucking question? Yes, I don't
It's
agree
not
with
a
you.
question. It's a statement. Porn
Okay,
affects
okay.
people's
So
wants
you
and
want to
desires,
give
and
me
when
a
people
short
get into
you want to give me a
freakier and
short
freakier
talk
porn,
on the
and they are
dangers of
exposed
pornography
to
and
certain-
cuties.
No. That's not what I'm doing. When people are exposed to certain things that they believe are normal, they
Yes.
start to
I
desire and
understand.
seek those
Let
things
me
in
can
their
I
own
Okay,
relationships.
can I
So that
fast
is why we
can
as
I
a society deeply oppose the idea of sexualizing children
Yes.
and ever even
Okay.
acknowledging this,
So
even if it is true in someone's personal feelings at
yes,
times.
so we can speed run this and just skip to you think I'm normalizing attraction to children and that will end up with children being abused, and even though I think it's the truth or my personal truth, it is an immoral thing to do, and that is your personal problem with what I've said. Right?
That was part of the conversation that we were
Okay.
going to get
Is
to,
there
but I
is there
wanted to actually get your thoughts on that.
Well, if you have a question, I'm happy to answer it. But like, I feel like you're just you're trying to walk me through and tell me I agree with every piece of your broader argument, and that I agree with your broader argument. But I can tell you right now, I probably don't agree with any piece of your argument, and I don't agree with the broader argument. I understand it, and I understand why you believe it, and you might be right, but I don't agree with you.
But what if I am right?
Then I'm not. Then by definition, that would make me wrong.
So would it not be important to try to investigate that?
I I don't know. Is that
So
the,
have you spent time? So have you?
so we're not
like,
so
I'm
we're no
genuinely
longer you
asking,
don't you actually don't have a question about what I think about this. The new question is it incumbent on me to make sure that I am right when I am making a video like this? To make sure that
that's
I'm
a
not,
good
to make sure
question,
I'm
yeah.
not normalizing child abuse.
Right. Yeah, I think that's an important question.
Okay. If I find out that I have normalized child abuse on a grand scale or on a small scale, I will be haunted by it. Is it incumbent on me? I don't think so. I think that unless I am presenting myself as an educator, which I am not. Although I guess in my Mr. Girl's School videos, like the Black Lives Matter narrative and the gender narrative, I am giving out information. And I am working on a video. Wait, let me think through this.
Okay.
I'm working on a video about pedophilia, so I will be addressing these things. I want to have it both ways. I want to say when I have my suit and tie on and I'm standing in front of the projector, then I'm an educator. And when I'm sitting in my chair filming myself in my office, then I'm just doing opinion and saying what I think and what I believe. And I think there's room for both. And maybe I need to be clearer about the division between the two. But ultimately, I'm going to say no. I think if you believe in what you're doing and what you're saying, unless you're lying, I don't think it's incumbent on you to know, I guess, something that can't be known. I don't think we can know the effect of what I'm saying.
People can know things to greater and to lesser degrees and understand things to greater and lesser degrees, though. So I know chat won't be happy about this, but I sympathize with the position you're in the sense of people saying like you have to be an expert in order to just give your personal feelings and opinions on things because you might harm other people if those opinions are wrong.
I
That's
think
a tough spot to be in. Sorry, let me just finish this thought or I'll forget it.
Sure.
But to an extent, I've actually kind of decided that some people who have that criticism of me are correct in when they've said, Lauren, you've made opinions and videos about migrants that may harm migrants or may harm everyone, if you're wrong. And I've thought to myself, actually, I do have a duty. We all have a duty to really observe and be careful about the language we have. Yes, there absolutely should be forgiveness, and there isn't in this age of cancel culture. There should be understanding when people mess up, but there should be a deliberate desire to try to get better and try to understand things. You know, we're all in a dark room, we're filling out the walls and trying to situate ourselves. We're going to have parts where we get things wrong when we're trying to figure it all out. But I do think it is incumbent on us to try to figure it out. That's why when I've gotten such great criticism of my videos that I've done on migration, I've flown to these places and investigated it and tried my best to understand it better. Yesterday, I was just reading studies all day. I was just in Mexico studying migration patterns, meeting with traffickers, because if I'm going to talk about this, I want to really understand it and get it right. It is incumbent on us to understand things we talk about.
There's a conflation here that doesn't make sense.
Okay,
you're not, because my video is about my thoughts or feelings about cuties, and I can't really be wrong.
I haven't seen the video, so that's probably a very fun. You know, we're probably having the same fundamental problem we had.
No. Let me just draw the differentiation here. You're saying it's incumbent on me to know what will happen as a result of what I've said. That's the question. Not, is it incumbent on me to know what I'm talking about? Of course I know what I'm talking about. It's a movie review. I know what I think of the movie. And I know what I think of culture. And I know what I think of 16-year-olds. So I can talk about, we're all experts on our own, sexualities. The question is, you're saying that it's incumbent on me to know how it's going to affect society if I say these things out loud. That's the question. Is it incumbent on me to research what effect what I say might have on people? And I don't think it is. I think it's something I care about, but I don't think it's incumbent on me to try to figure it out, viewing studies of how porn affects teenagers, to then somehow try to guess how my movie review is going to affect the world. I don't agree with that. I think that's a little loony. Also,
no.
Also, based on the reaction to my review, I don't think I left people feeling super normal. I don't think anybody was watching it and saying hey, what this guy's saying kind of makes sense. This 11-year-old twerking stuff is kind of normal. I think that, if anything, the response shows that I pretty much hit a bullseye in saying this is uncomfortable, unethical, and confusing, and we're really bad at talking about it. And we might need to get better at talking about it. So I want to normalize talking about it, not normalize child abuse.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I do have to run in like 5 minutes here.
Okay.
I'm starting to. Here's the reality. I'm gonna have to watch the video if we're gonna have a conversation about the effect that it had or what you were thinking. My question is more so: do you think that certain thoughts, or my conundrum that I'm having here, are certain thoughts that we have worth uttering? Are certain thoughts that we have meaningful enough to discuss? And are certain things in society or in ourselves, when we try to talk about,
I would rather destroy the world with my thoughts than silence myself.
is okay, we can portray a whole lot of, like I said, we can portray a whole lot of things as defense of free speech that aren't, and we just have to recognize that. I don't there are I've been on the right a long time, so I know this people who put the N word 7,000 times on Twitter and then say, how dare someone destroy, the First Amendment. And I'm like, okay, that was like verbal graffiti. Like, this is just simply not what I want to. I'm not going to spend hours of my time trying to defend, butt poop 57's Twitter account saying the N-word 700 times. I have better things to spend my time on. There are things that are worthwhile to acknowledge and unravel in ourselves, and maybe this is a worthwhile conversation. I don't know. But I'm more so, what I'm trying to touch on here is, like, is it important that people find a, shared, oh, I too have that feeling, like a shared normalization of this feeling together? Is it important, and in defense of free speech, that a man be able to call his wife an obese whale when he feels that way? Or is there some level of importance and duty we have to temper ourselves in our thoughts and say, nope, that's a bad thought. I'm not going to put it out there. I don't want to normalize that. Maybe I'll talk about that thought with someone in an environment,
Yeah, I think
outside of the public. Like, I think that
if
we
your
can
goal is
probably
to
agree.
share your thoughts or to be an artist, then no. If your goal is to get along with your wife, then yeah. But my role on YouTube,
See,
I am not a peacemaker. I'm not. My audience is not my wife. I'm my work is
but that's
provocative.
fundamentally what I'm asking is, like, what is your
Yeah.
meaning? What are you trying to achieve? Like that, I'm not
To
saying I
get
don't.
people
I think
to
you're
understand
logically
themselves,
consistent.
to get people to understand themselves better and understand each other better by being unvarnished and as honest as I can,
Mm-hmm.
while still being entertaining.
Mm.
I'm not an activist,
Right,
so that's the big difference.
right. And a lot of the criticisms I'm making of you, I could make of myself too. Criticism and having people analyze and find the demons inside themselves is all good and well, and I think something a lot of us do, but uh, without any sort of proposed cure, sometimes uncovering demons or taking them out of that Pandora's box is sometimes they're best left in there,
There
unless
is no
you're
cure.
proposing some sort of solution.
There's no solution. And I mean, there's some. I mean, I think there's things we can do to reduce child abuse, but there's no solution. I don't think humans are ultimately clean and pure beings that are meant to live in harmony, and we just haven't figured it out yet. So, to me, knowing yourself and knowing your neighbors and empathizing is my idea of utopia. I don't think we can
See,
fix things.
we have a very different idea of utopia.
Yeah.
I think the good in you is being able to understand humans are fundamentally flawed, and that's something a lot of people think they recognize, but then when it comes to their own clan or their own selves, or my side of the political spectrum or their side of the political spectrum, that idea ceases to exist. So I think that understanding of fundamental flaws in humans is something that is good in you, and I genuinely believe there is good in all of us. I'm a Christian, so I believe that God exists within all of us to some degree, and I don't think we should meditate as much as we do, or find our shared experiences in our horrors with ourselves. I'm not sure that's healthy unless you're also meditating on the good to some degree as well, unless you also have a counterbalance, recognizing
What would
the
happen if you
bad,
meditated
recognizing
on the
the
horrors
evil,
too
and then
much?
trying to work to heal from it.
What do
So
you think would
what I
happen?
would say is, I think that you do something that's very interesting in actually being honest, and there's good in that, honest about evil in people, but not thinking that that's where it ends is
You
where
want
I
you want
start
me
to
to
see the
start? You want me to
problem.
moralize as well?
I'm not moralizing. I'm sorry, my
I don't think you can choose what you feel. So I don't want to moralize about feelings.
everybody, stay out of the room. Mr. Girl is here. I'm joking. um, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't want to moralize about feelings. You can't control
I'm
them.
not, if you, I mean everything I genuinely said though. Like, what do you mean when you accuse me of moralizing?
I think you're encouraging me to moralize.
Okay, that's the problem. Is you dislike the word moral because I don't think you get your morality from, or I don't know. You tell me. I get my morality from somewhere. I think it exists. I think
No, I'm saying I don't
applying
think you can
morals to our
choose
life
how
is
you feel.
important. But do you?
I don't think you can choose how you feel. So I'm not going to say this is how cuties made me feel and that's wrong. And anybody who felt the same way is wrong and evil. I don't agree with that. I don't even think it's a flaw.
Right, because you don't have a system of morality, or do
No, I
you?
do. I do.
Where is
But
it? It just comes from within yourself?
do you think that you completely agree with the Bible's system of morality?
I don't fully understand it. I'm trying to,
Do you
but I
think
do
that
have a
if you
system of
could fully
morality that
understand
comes
it,
from it.
do you think your system of morality would be 100% aligned with the Bible if you could fully comprehend it?
My system of morality comes from God, so that's my system of morality.
Okay. So do you think, so the
I
answer is yes?
personally fail at that. My personal opinion
So you
varies
don't
from it
disagree
sometimes,
with
but
the
my
word of,
personal opinion
you never
tends to
disagree
be
with the
wrong a
word of,
lot of times too,
you're saying that,
and it tends
you're
to
saying that you
make my
never
life
disagree
worse.
with personally with the word of God.
My personal morality comes from God, so how could I, on a moral
I don't
level,
know, but
disagree with God?
the answer might be no, that you always agree with the word of God. My understanding
I
is that,
always agree with it. I don't always follow it because I'm imperfect.
but you never think it's wrong.
I don't think God is wrong, no.
Okay. My understanding of most Christians is that they, or most religious people, is that they're kind of a la carte about their morality. They
But
take
that's
the
because a lot
parts.
of people you speak to think they're Christians and aren't.
Okay, so a real Christian takes their morality 100% from the Bible.
From God. The Bible is one aspect of being Christian, for sure, and a lot of people misinterpret it.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to make the argument that even if your morality comes from the Bible or comes from God, I still think that ultimately you are deciding what parts of that resonate with you and what parts to follow and
I
what
agree.
parts.
I completely agree with you. There are a lot of people who do that. Absolutely.
Okay, but you're not
Completely.
one of
I
them.
see that every day. I fail. I fail.
Okay. So yeah, that's
But
fine. If you see
when
that as a failure, then yeah, we just have different ideas. But yeah, I think my morality comes from my emotions, I guess. Stuff that I feel bad about, stuff that I feel good about, things that sit with
all
me,
right,
sit right with me, and things that
right.
don't sit right with me. And so, in my view, not only is it pointless to moralize about feelings and to tell people they're wrong for feeling that the idea of feeling lust is a sin or I mean any of the seven deadly sins, they're just feelings.
Okay, well, that's where we're fundamentally going to disagree. Is
Yeah,
your
you think you can
importance
send? You think
is
that you can?
dictating your morality, and I don't think that your morality is going to make the world a very good place. I don't think I don't think my morality, I don't think a Lauren Southern morality would make the world a good place.
I understand. You think God's morality make the world a good place, and I don't share God's morality.
Yes.
One difference,
Right.
one big difference between my views and the views of Christianity is that I don't think you can sin in your brain. That's the name of the song, is I can fantasize about whatever I want. You could finish the sentence and say, without being immoral. That's the real meaning of the song.
I think you can sin in your brain.
I know.
I think that what we fester on and what we stew on and what we choose to allow grow in our mind, it's like a garden, and we can
Oh, I think what you don't.
allow evil and
I
envy
think.
and these disgusting things to fester in our mind and become very dark people.
I think the
And we can
exact
allow good
opposite.
things to fester in our mind.
I think the exact opposite. I think if you don't face your darkness head on, bluntly and directly, that darkness will spread inside you and slowly take you over.
Facing your darkness and accepting it are two different things, though.
I think
Facing your
that if you
darkness
don't
is
face
saying,
your
I
darkness,
understand you. I know you're in me. I choose to acknowledge that you exist, but I reject you as the master of my soul.
I think if you
Those
don't
are
accept your
different
own
things.
darkness,
And accepting that
it will
darkness as the
spread.
master of your soul
It will
is a very
spread
different
throughout
thing
your
from
mind and turn you into a very, very dark person who thinks they're a light person.
I think that exists too. Yeah. I don't think I'm a good person, just so you are aware. Do you think you're a good person?
Yes.
And that's ultimately why I don't think I should be dictating morality to people.
I
I
do
think
think
that's God's morality, not Lauren Southern's morality, because I don't think I'm a good person.
I do think I'm a good person.
There we go.
I think I'm a better person since I started ruminating on my darkness more.
I guess we'll see where that leads us both.
Where do you want it to lead you? You want to be a good person by, like, shaming yourself into it?
I think people need to have an ego death before they can have any real growth.
Is that what you see your break from content creation as?
That was a small, small part of it. I've got
You
a
think
long way to go.
You think you need a bigger ego death?
Every day, yeah. That doesn't mean not being firm in my beliefs. That doesn't mean not standing up for myself or not taking action. And I think that's what I've misunderstood for a long time. But generally understanding that we are all fundamentally broken people, but still completely worthy of love.
You're trying to balance knowing
Is
that you don't
completely,
know what you're doing and knowing that you are trying to navigate a, like, confusing sea of who you want to be and what's right and what's wrong, but also speaking your mind and doing advocacy and, like, just talking.
Yeah, it's very confusing. It's very confusing.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I'm
Yeah,
sure it'd be much easier to just be consistent with the Lauren Southern morality. That would be a much easier world to live in.
Yeah, I don't think those two things have to contradict each other.
I think when you choose your own morality and you bend the world to match it, a lot of things could be a lot more consistent and a lot easier, for sure. But I just don't think that leads to a lot of good. I don't think
So you
that. In
think
fact,
I'm
I know it. I
consistent
see it
but
all the
evil?
time. I don't think you're evil.
You think the effect I have on the world will be evil?
I think the effect on the world of anyone acting purely out of, and I'm not saying you are these things, ego or narcissism, which I
Well,
have
you are
done
saying
and
that. You are
do as
saying that.
well,
When you say that, you
generally
are.
has
Hey,
negative
whoa, you
outcomes.
are saying that.
No, but to say someone
You can say
someone
that. Just say
has
it. Oh,
done
please, just say it. Just say
no,
it.
no, 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 no. Oh,
Just
no,
say it.
no, 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 no. Let me
Say that you
don't
think I'm
dictate
an
my
egotistical
opinions to me, all right?
narcissist. Just say it.
No, you can.
Why?
Someone can take actions.
Oh
No, because
God.
I think that narcissists aren't so self-aware.
I asked you if you
But I
think. Of
think
course they are.
people.
The best narcissists are self-aware. You think Trump's not self-aware? Of course he is.
Oh, maybe I don't know.
I
But
asked you if
my
you think
point was
I'm
that's not my
evil.
point.
I don't want to
I'm
hear
not
your
trying to.
fucking.
I'm
I don't
not
want to
trying
hear
to
your
armchair
generic.
psychology you.
I don't want to hear your
Hey,
generic shit. I want you to answer this question.
are you gonna let me finish my
No.
sentence? Are you
Do
gonna
you
let me
think I'm
finish what I was
evil?
saying? Because you're
No.
misunderstanding it.
I want you to answer. Do you think I'm evil?
Okay, I'll answer that after you let me finish what I was saying before.
Okay.
People every day can make narcissistic, egotistical kind actions.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was saying I'm not calling you those things, I'm saying certain actions and certain behaviors we all make every day can have those natures. All
Okay.
right, this isn't armchair psychology, like
Bring it on.
that happened. Hi, I'm an empath. I'm going to tell you what your personality is. No, that's not what
Okay.
I'm doing here. Do I think you're evil? No, I don't.
Do you
No.
think the effect I will have on the world is evil?
No, I think it's a perversion of good. All evil is a perversion of good.
Wait, you just said all evil is a perversion of good? And then you
What
said
we
what I'm
see
doing
as
is a
evil,
perversion of
it's
good.
just good
Can we just
perverted.
skip the loop-de-loop and just say that you think what I'm
Well,
doing
no,
is
no, no,
evil?
no, because it's more complicated. Here we
Can
go.
you
You want the
simplify?
simple answers? I don't want to give you the simple answers. I want to have a deeper
It's not that
conversation.
fucking complicated.
Um,
You said A equals B and B equals 3. And then I said, does A equal 3? And you're like, whoa, buddy. That's too much.
so what you would define as evil,
I'm asking by your definition.
maybe, but how we define it is different.
How do you define evil?
Thank you. All right, let's do that. Huh. All right, here we go. I was explaining this to my chat a few days ago when I was reading C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity, and he talks about the concept that he doesn't believe that the world is in a war between good and evil, dark and light, that instead it's a civil war. The world is inherently good. People are inherently good, but these things keep being perverted. No one ultimately wants to be in pain. No one ultimately wants to be decaying or dying or hurting or suffering. We don't want things that we seek as evil. We usually do things that are quote unquote evil because we're seeking something good. So when someone steals from a shop, they usually do it because they think they're going to get wealth, which is what they feel is a good thing. Most of the things we do are motivated by what we believe to be good, as I'm sure the things that you do are motivated by what you believe to be good. And all evil things that exist tend to be a perversion of good things. When you look at sickness or illness, that's a perversion of life, death, perversion of life. You've got, when you think of sexual things like rape and pedophilia, that's a perversion of something that is good, which is sex. Sex is a good, beautiful thing. Even biblically, it's a good, beautiful thing. And you can't describe a sexual perversion without describing what sex is first. So the inherent good thing, you can't describe life without describing, or you can't describe death without describing life. Most evil things that exist, you can't describe without first describing the inherent good thing. So a lot of the evil that exists in the world is simply a perversion of good, and a lot of people seeking good. So people can do evil while seeking what they believe to be good and seeking genuine good things. Does that make sense?
The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess that's a very, very simple way. But yeah, I believe that there's just perversions of good, but ultimately most people want good.
You think I want good,
I think that's what most people want, yeah.
but you don't think
I think a lot of us just misunderstand it.
You don't think my cuties
I think I
review
misunderstand it every day.
You don't think my cuties review will cause good?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Well, just based
I'm
on
more
what
so
I
talking
told you.
about
Based
where
on my
you get your
description.
morality from.
Based on my description of it.
No, I don't. I don't see. I haven't seen it, so I really don't want to
Based
give
on
any
my
sort of
description,
definitive
okay, fine.
opinion.
We'll say my
But
mini
based on
cuties
your
review that I gave
description,
you.
I don't think it's good for us to ruminate and focus and try to find shared uh, understanding in
Bad thoughts.
aspects of our minds that I think are sick. I think we can talk to each other about them with prescriptive solutions. I think that's healthy.
If you could design human sexuality with regard to age of attraction, how would you set it up? So when you're 10, you're attracted to other 10-year-olds and maybe 12-year-olds, maybe 9-year-olds, like a little range around it. And then as you get older, when you're 18, you're still attracted to 16-year-olds, but not 15-year-olds. And then when
I
you're...
don't like appeals to nature because the difference between humans and animals is that we actually think about our morality and we think about the things that we do and we consider and we feel
Wait, I want you
bad
to
and we
answer
have
my question.
morals.
Will
So
you answer my question?
appealing to human
If
nature.
you were the designer of human sexuality, I want to propose something to you. Will you answer my hypothetical?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm 36. If you could put hard stops on my age of sexual attraction at 36, well, would you put hard stops? Well, basically, what ages do you think I should be attracted to? Ideally, what would be good? And how much? Would it taper off on each end, or would it be hard stops? That's my first question.
Generally, I think it's healthy for people to be in relationships that are, uh, you know,
Will you answer my
within their.
question? Hard
I am
stops or
about to do
taper
that.
off? Are you willing to
What do
go
you
on
mean
a
by,
roller
like,
coaster of a hypothetical question with me? That's my first question.
if I were the designer,
Are
probably
you willing
hard
to are you
stops to
willing
be
to go on
safe.
the are
Sure,
you
let's do
are you
it. All right, hard
okay.
stops. Let's just play it safe.
Are
Yeah.
you willing to keep your hands and arms inside the vehicle at all times? Of the roller
I
coaster.
didn't think about
The
that. Of the
hypothetical
roller
roller coaster.
coaster?
Yes.
Sure. All right.
Okay. Hard stops. What age would the bottom stop? But we don't care about the top age. What age would the bottom stop be at if I'm 36?
Based on my excessive reading of our relationships for video content, 36-year-olds should probably not be dating people in their early 20s. So I don't know, like let's keep it, 36. People that are like 5 years younger, 5 years older. That
Okay.
sounds cool.
So if you were designing human sexuality, a 36-year-old would not find a 30-year-old attractive in the slightest. That would be the moral ideal.
I'm not sure. Whatever. Let's do that. Sure.
Okay.
For the sake of where you're going.
That's interesting though, because that means that I'm watching like I don't know. Who's like a attractive 25-year-old like actor?
I don't. Okay. So
Oh,
whatever
wait,
you
what's
watch it
her
and you
what's her
don't find
face
them
in
attractive,
Spider-Man?
so what?
What's her Zendaya?
Zendaya. Sure. Okay.
I'll be watching Spider-Man and I would be like, look, two children playing around, and like if I see Zendaya's
Just because
butt,
you're not attracted to someone doesn't mean you have to think of them as children.
yeah. I know, yeah, I agree. That's not fair. But I'm saying if I see Zendaya's butt or body or close up of her lips or something, I'm like, this doesn't resonate with me. I feel nothing.
So what's wrong with that?
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying it's an interesting proposition. Okay, so this would be the way my girlfriend's 26, so then that wouldn't work. So you're
Like
saying
for me,
wait,
I just
wait.
don't. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I want to understand. You're saying this would be ideal morally.
You
right.
asked me in a hypothetical.
Yeah.
And I just gave
I
you
know.
answers, so
Absolutely,
we can continue down it.
Yeah. And this, my next question is that, to be clear, this would be the moral ideal to make sure that people were good, I guess. Right? I think that's what I asked you. Something like that.
When generally when we see like these abusive relationships take
Yeah,
place,
yeah,
you
yeah. No,
know?
I want
There's
to.
like this crazy age gap, like,
Oh
oh
yeah,
man, he's
I'm
50,
just
she's
clarifying.
20 or whatever. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, you're asking me in a hypothetical, sure.
I don't
It's not
have a
like people would
plan for
notice
what I'm
anyways.
going to
They
say.
wouldn't care.
I'm not trying to trap you.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to say. So here's my next question. Do you emotionally, if you could push a button to make this really happen, not just me, not just a chemical castration of me, but of everybody, would you do it?
Chemical castration?
No, not chemical castration, but a sexual age of attraction spectrum limitation. If you could push a button to make everybody just not be attracted to anyone 5 years or 6 years older or 6 years younger, would you push the button?
No.
So part of you likes that we want to color outside the lines, even though it's also leads things to be more immoral.
Oh, wait, sorry, my chat are saying that it's lagging. Are things lagging? No. No, it's just someone trolling. No, purely because gosh, sorry, 1 minute. I'm trying to think about
How to best phrase this?
I wouldn't want to stop being attracted to my husband. And he's outside that gap. So I'm like, But you know, as a generality.
Okay, just everybody
whatever,
else. If you could push a button to make everybody else accept you and your husband, you guys get
sure.
as a
Whatever.
reward for
We get
doing this
exception.
act of good, you guys can keep being attracted to each other. I guess my point is, like, do you want the world to be perfect? Like, do you if you could make people, if you could limit their psychology and their sexuality to neatly fit in the lines of what is morally good, would you?
I'm so sorry. I've got an emergency I need to deal with that I wasn't expecting.
Okay. Well,
Sorry,
thank you.
I'm really sorry, guys.
No, of course, I
this was an
understand.
interesting conversation.
I
I
agree.
appreciate it. I just got a text from
Okay.
my
Yeah.
mother saying
Take
she's
care of your stuff.
extremely ill, so I have to go help her.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, it was great. Chat, thank you for being here. I'm sorry that I'm leaving in a second, but real life calls. I have to get out of the roller coaster.
Understood.
Have a good one.
All right, you too.
Bye.
Bye. You think she's lying? I don't think she's lying. Innocent until proven guilty. We have no evidence that she's lying. I don't, and I don't think she's lying anyway. No, she didn't. That's not washing, not at all. She just had to go, and that's fine. We talked for a long time. Emergencies come up. If Vosh had said that, I would not have been offended. If I'd been like, what color do you think their panties would be? And he's like, I have an emergency. I have to go. That would be totally fine. I think that, yeah, well, I don't want to get in the habit of like saying what I think of conversations right afterward. I guess that's expected of me. What's up with my stream crashing? I don't know. OBS didn't tell me my stream crashed. You guys got to let me know when that happens. Like, all caps, your stream crashed, because I'm not going to notice. Because OBS said I was still streaming, so I don't know. What happened. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Destiny wants to chat. Stop telling me Destiny wants to chat. Destiny. Oh, wait. Does he actually want to talk? Because you say that every time. Okay, I'm gonna ask him. Okay. Let me open my shit. Okay. Keep an eye on that. If he calls, then, you know, he can tell me what he thinks. I feel like that's going to turn into an argument. Hey, I'm really interested in what you said because I didn't really hear it. You said your morals come from where? I would say they came from, when chat spams F, that means it crashed. I can't see that you're spamming F. I just see, like, you should at me, because every time I see the white box, I look over. But if I just see, like, everybody say, like, the same thing, I don't know if it's, like, an emote or what. I'm not reading it that closely because I'm trying to focus on what she's saying. I get my morals, I think, from how I feel, I guess. I think it's just like a emotional, hopefully, or attempting to be emotionally intelligent, more sophisticated understanding of how things affect other things, and then I think it all just comes down to how I feel. I think everybody gets their morality from how they feel, though. Like, I don't think if the Bible told Lauren Southern, like, hey, like, we found a missing page from the Bible that says that, like, we have to, like, do this terrible thing, and, like, it's just the right thing to do. I don't think she'd be like, oh, okay, well, no matter what it was. I don't believe that. Can I dual stream YouTube? I don't think I'm supposed to do that, but I know that some people do. I don't know. I have to think about it. He's on a panel. Okay. Destiny is stuck in a January 6th debate he didn't want. Well, yeah, he's on a panel, but that doesn't fucking mean anything. If he wants to leave it, he'll just leave. Oh, they're just fucking with me. Okay, well, shit, I messaged him. God damn you. Oh, okay, it was sort of true. Got it. Am I right that you want to say provocative things without qualification in order to train people not to make assumptions and be more nuanced? I don't think I'm trying to train people. I just don't want to make qualifications. It makes what you're saying longer, boring, and more annoying. So I don't get the fucking point of it. Like, if you... I just don't get it. It only makes the audience less interested in what you're saying so that you can look better. Do you stare at the camera intentionally? Yes, I look at the camera intentionally. I don't like... It just looks weird to me to, like, have a conversation where two people are looking at a screen. I don't like it. He'll definitely want to chat whenever he is free. Okay, well, I guess we can hang out for a while. That must have been mentally exhausting for Lauren. Her chat was constantly pinging her, saying she was being manipulated or gaslit or being trapped into saying something she didn't want. Yeah. Ah, fuck. I should have opened her chat. I always say I'm going to do that, and I don't. But I think it would have been useful to know what they were saying. Because, like, the chat can put a lot of pressure on you. Maybe I'll get used to this, but, like, right now, when the whole chat is, like, you have no point, or you're not listening, or, like, you don't get what she's saying, like, it does make me be like, shit, maybe I don't. Hopefully I'll learn to ignore you fucks. If people have really weird feelings or aren't able to process guilt, then they can't go off of their feelings for morality. I don't know if we have a choice. I feel like just your feelings is just, like, the end of the day. What do I think of Lauren's chatters? I didn't see the chat. Do you wear the same undershirt your grandpa wore? I don't. Oh, you mean this? Like, because this looks like a super old shirt? My grandpa used to wear wife beaters, though, and I don't really wear them. Sometimes. Play video games in your next interview? No. What do you think about Christians distinguishing the Bible from the Word of God? Is that cope? Yes. I think that's just a way to say I disagree with the Bible. So, therefore, I am God. You're basically saying that you're God when you do that. That you know what God wants more than the Bible, which means that you're a God. I understand why she's doing it because she doesn't want to get cornered into like me pulling out some Bible quote, which I was not going to do, but a lot of people who would. Do you think Lauren has PTSD from the boating incident? I have no idea. I do think that I'm probably in my advice about how to talk about it I probably was trying to get her to talk about it in a way like she's just more over it and over the backlash from it than she actually is. I don't know. Maybe I do that with cuties. That was pretty fucking horrible last year. I'm definitely not over it, but I probably present myself like I am. I mean, clearly I get pretty worked up when we talk about it. Dual streaming is only prohibited if you're a partner. I think it's if you're an affiliate too. I just applied to be partner also, but I don't know if I'm going to get that. If everyone felt like murder was okay, would that make murder okay? Yes. I think so. The counter claim would be like everybody used to think whatever was okay, but now it was it okay? But that's still speaking from our current perspective and how we feel about it now. You're gonna hit partner soon. I don't know if they're gonna approve me. I'm scared that they're not going to, but I guess we'll see. We had more viewers than Lauren. Thoughts? Imagine how many we would have had if my stream hadn't gone down. Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of viewers, way more than the size of the channel merits, but it's also because they're all new. Like I feel like an older channel, like you get like follower decay, whereas like if all my followers are from the last 2 weeks, then like, eh. Yeah. Destiny messaged me and asked me if we need a translator and said it would be a lot of fun. And if I had seen it, I for sure would have brought him in. I just didn't see it. I guess I should keep my DMs open in calls. It's just a lot. I have trouble focusing on all this shit. That panel could be 3 hours long, so don't hold your breath. Okay. Her chat was very uncharitable. Yeah, I'm sure. Try going to her VOD to read the chat right now. No, I don't want to do that. Do you think blah, blah, blah? They kept saying I'm a troll. Her chat was obscenely hostile. The most chat any chat has hated you yet. I think that people like Lauren who kind of preach the are like super anti. They're going to call it moral relativism, but really it's just people choosing their own morals. Is that what moral relativism is? I feel like it's a little different, but I think they think that anybody who says like we should think outside the box or accept ourselves as how we are or explore dark topics without moralizing about them constantly is just going to cause like evil things to happen. So I understand why they hate me. While it's true to not let yourself get thrown off by chat, it is useful to step back from the conversation in the moment to see if you are misunderstanding them. I guess, but I also... The problem is that I give your opinion in the chat too much weight. Because I'm like, you generally are supporting me or agree with me. And so then if you tell me I'm wrong, it makes me think like, oh, am I contradicting myself? But I need to get to a place where I'm just like, no, you're just wrong. Like, yeah, you can like me and I could, you can enjoy me as a streamer, but I think you're wrong, even if all of you are saying I'm wrong. Will you talk to Benjamin Boyce? I don't know who that is. Benjamin Boyce, these nuts. I think that sounds like a real person. I don't know who that is. As a Smash player, what do you think of Mega Man mains? The Mega Man vs. Mario is like a pretty tedious matchup, so I'm not a fan. It takes a long time. I think Lauren has been self-trained to always be on the defense, and it blocks her ability to feel guilt about the boat. That's possible. Yeah, I didn't want to like push that too hard, but I did say I was thinking about it. I don't know though. I didn't really have a a strong like read or conclusion on that. Did her joke about keeping her kids out of the room bother me? Yes, obviously. Destiny says he's finishing the show. I said, let me know. Destiny dual streams and he's affiliate. I know, but he also has a fucking trillion followers. I assume he can get away with stuff that I can't. There was a moment where she was being honest about the boating thing, and I think while you were digging in, she backed up. Yeah, I felt that for a second, but I don't know. She's lying. She just can't admit that she was young and dumb. I guess. I mean, her claim is that that I am too dumb, and that what she did was just that she's just super plugged into the complexity of the situation, and that if I were similarly plugged in, then I would see that what she did was right. But I don't have any of the same politics as her, so I would still think it was wrong because I'm not anti-immigration. And she was like, well, the great replacement is, it's complicated. And like, I don't think it's complicated. I see why white people are complaining about immigration and stuff, but I think they're wrong. They're not wrong about how they feel, but I just don't agree, I guess. Is there something you would have done differently for this chat in hindsight? I think I let the boat loop conversation go on for too long. If I knew that she was going to perceive me giving her advice on how to concisely... I don't know what to do. I felt like she was filibustering a bit. So I'll ask her question, and then she starts giving me a 5-minute answer. And I'm like, based on the length of this answer alone, I don't want to hear this. I just don't. It's not... The question I asked you is a yes or no question about if you feel bad about what you did. And if you start your answer about, like, Joe Biden, like, I don't want to listen to it. And I don't know if there's a graceful way to deal with that. And not only do I not want to listen to it, I don't think it's good for you. I don't think it's good for your career. I think you should just answer head on, flat, straight to the point, and just rip the Band-Aid off and get it over with. But if I knew that me saying that was going to be felt like it seemed like she felt attacked, and I didn't want to make her feel attacked. If I knew that she was going to perceive that as me telling her how she's supposed to feel, I wouldn't have done that. Why are you giving Lauren advice on how to talk when you don't like it being done to you? Because I'm fine with people giving me advice on how to talk. It's not that I blanketly don't like that. It's that the advice is for me to become more boring and more like the less successful person that I'm talking to. That's what I can't stand. I can't stand when someone's like, oh, your views are rocketing and your followers are rocketing. Have you tried being me? And I'm like, fucking no, I don't want to be you. I was doing this when I was getting banned for it. I had no income from it. I had no following for like 3 or 4 years to speak of. Why the fuck would I stop being what I feel is true to myself when I start getting successful because it makes you fucking uncomfortable? That's what I can't stand. If somebody were like, hey, I think that I can think of a way for you to be even more honest, even more blunt, even more direct, even more true to yourself. Not the shit where people are like, don't you think that saying things in a way that is less provocative is more honest? No, I don't fucking think that. That's what I can't stand. So if somebody gave me the kind of advice I was giving her of like, hey, you're getting defensive, you don't have to defend yourself, I think I would like that. What are these headphones? These are the Wii 1000X from Sony. They're pretty nice. I don't like just the earbuds because they like fall out of my ears if I'm doing cardio, but I did buy some just earbuds for streaming, so you guys stop asking me what this is. because I think visually also it's just distracting. If the main thing you want is to focus on is your YouTube, you should dual stream to help that grow more. I have an alternate YouTube channel for just streaming stuff. So if I do dual stream, it'll just be to that one. My main channel, I do not want to clutter up with a bunch of streaming shit. I like heavily edited, concise, more artistic content. I don't want to post dozens of hours of me talking. I wish you knew more philosophy to flush out your opinions and see where you get stuck. That does sound helpful. I will, if anybody has any recommendations for me, put it in the Discord or tell me now. But I probably won't remember it, so you should put it in the Discord. You need multiple monitors. Yeah, maybe. I don't think that's the problem. I think am super laser focused on... Well, also I'm looking at the camera, which is not on the screen or touching the screen. But I think I'm also just super trying to focus on what the person's saying. No, I only have one monitor. Might be useful to have an offline conversation with your guests first and give them the option to release the conversation. Perhaps this sort of evasiveness could be mediated. Yeah. That would be better. I don't know. I mean, from the first second when she said, I don't know anything about you, I haven't watched your stuff, and I said, that gives you plausible deniability, it seems like she felt like I was attacking her right there. I think maybe I should warn people that, like, I'm going to make comments about the conversation during the conversation in a very, like, blunt way, and it's not meant to be an attack or to put them on the defensive. I just want to say, like, this is what I think. Do you purposefully ask questions in a way to upset people? Hope to see more with you and Lauren. No, I was not. No, I'm trying to ask the questions that are, like, the most direct that I can to get to what I'm trying to talk about. And I guess it might be too blunt, but it's not. I'm definitely not trying to upset. I wasn't trying to upset her. Moral relativism is the idea that morality is relative to the culture in question. Yeah, I guess so. I think it's relative to the person, which I guess is a different version of it. Just like smaller. But my morality, like, I think female circumcision is immoral, even if it's, you know, normalized in Egypt or whatever. Do you not have donation notifications? I do. Let's read those. Good call. Let's take a look here. Okay. We're gonna start at yesterday's. Sausage Lord gave me $1. Hey, Mr. Women. Love your streams, and you never fail to make me laugh. Keep up the good work, and never change, man. Thanks, Sausage Lord. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Raven Soul, $10. No message. Sorry, just a little support. Thank you. Twisted PP. Give me $1. I like all your mods, except for Cum Gremlin. I don't want to call her a Karen, but goddamn. Cum Gremlin, ban this motherfucker. No, thank you. I appreciate your feedback, and I'm sure Cum Gremlin will, handle it. Daddy's Little Horse gave me $5. Dear Dad, it's been so fun watching our parasocial relationship develop. It's great to know that you and I are literally best friends IRL. I love how we both have all of the correct opinions. And I'm not reading the PS. Edge Case gave me $5 for my Ethernet cable. I got the Ethernet cable. It's plugged in. I got a 100-footer, baby. It's working. Jimmy said, $3. I'm in your walls. Don't release that video. I don't know what that means. Mr. Woody gave me $1. Said, are you worried about the longevity of having these long-form conversations? They're always getting stun-locked on the morality of things rather than just letting us get to know them, which I think you're a good person for, and they're missing out on. Yeah, I felt like I would have been very helpful at humanizing her to people who dislike her. And maybe there's a way to frame this or warn people in advance so that they'll be more okay with kind of letting me do my thing. Because, yeah, I don't want people leaving feeling like they got like attacked and just had to fight me off the whole time and try to leave like without, you know, seeming like they were running away. I want people to feel like they can open up. Man, something about Twitch too. Like, I feel like in person, people are way more, I don't know, maybe I just come across warmer. I don't know what it is. And the chat really doesn't help. Yeah, I got to rethink this because I'm trying to have these intimate conversations. Okay, I'm going to scroll down and see what the fuck's going on. Honestly, people are fucking pussies. Yeah, some of them. Mike Ross, $5. Could we have a few minute conversation? I have a few issues with things you say, but very much like the way you think. I appreciate the $5, Mike, but no, we cannot have another conversation where somebody tells me that I should talk differently or in a way where that you have issues with. You are welcome to post it in Discord, here, DM me, or whatever. I do read all my DMs. I don't respond to all of them. And, you know, I will read it. I can't promise that I'll, like, engage with you about it, though. Do you like saying stuff like, fuck you to make a point on how you feel? Do you think saying stuff like, fuck you to make a point on how you feel can derail someone's attitude of the conversation? Because I feel like everyone's critical thinking dropped a bit after that moment. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. That could happen. I don't know that that did happen. I can't tell. I can't tell the difference between, like, am I derailing stuff by being too aggressive or too playful? Or are people not trusting me enough? Or was it going to derail anyway, and that's just, like, the point where it happens? I literally call people motherfucker. I do that. Maybe I have to just be nicer. Tell them you have a degree in psychology and are trying to talk about feelings and genuinely not being partisan. I think making it clear that I'm not partisan would be good. I think I assume people know that based on how I'm talking, but I should maybe say that. Honestly, I really fucking hate her, and seeing her clearly upset with getting attacked in a way that wasn't dismissive or heartless actually gave me a lot of empathy with her. Probably not entirely the response you're after, but it's there. No, that is what I want. I don't want people to hate her at all, even if I disagree with her. The whole point of this stream, I think, or of this series, is to try to humanize people. So yeah, if you hate her and you felt like you could empathize with her more after seeing this, then that is good. Do I have a Discord? Yeah, you got it. Stop telling chat how to talk to. Do you believe in free will? I don't think that I think that free will is like a lens we can put on sometimes and not other times. I don't think it, none of us can emotionally look at the world through the lens of free will all the time. And none of us can emotionally use determinism all the time. So that they're going to resonate. I think you know what I think? I think that when you're hating somebody because you believe in free will, it might be time to also look at them through determinism and then see what led to how they are and who they are, and that can help humanize them. And then you can still hate them or still be mad at them or whatever. And then I think if you're looking at yourself through determinism, and other people are mad at you, also look at it through free will and look at what choices you made. I think you need both. I enjoy your aggressive humor. It scares them. That makes me want to do it less. Do you have any pets? Yeah, I have 2 cats named Cock and Balls. Forcing their girls. Forcing people not to have chat would make things intimate and unique. You could have emergency contact who could DM you somewhere if stream goes down or something. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I think I'll do that. You self-delude yourself into thinking you're non-partisan. Maybe. You're saying I'm a liberal, I guess. I guess by partisan, I mean I'm not afraid to strongly disagree with people who lean the same way as me on specific issues. To me, partisanship is when you're like, oh, I should got to stay away from this topic because, my base is not going to like it if I talk about this, or my friends or family. So being nonpartisan to me doesn't mean that you don't agree with a political group generally. It just means that you're like, you can criticize them or disagree with them when that's what you think. I barely know who she was, and now I love her. Good for you. That's good. Remember when she saw what you meant about the I could be a general and you couldn't thing? What do you think helped her chill and see what you're saying there? I think that I was complimenting her in a way of saying I'm trying to picture what she said she was 21. I'm trying to picture her climbing into a raft and getting it it's so crazy. So to me, it comes off as kind of radicalized, but there's another side of it it's super active, I don't fly around the world and do activism in other places. And part of that's just being lazy or passive. And so there is something bold about just taking a stance and whatever. It's like the same way I admire people who join the military. It's like you're doing something and doing something risky because of what you believe in or whatever reason you're doing it. The start was a little rocky, but I felt that she was much easier to empathize with by the end. Maybe this is part of the process. Sometimes the road to peace is through conflict. Yeah, it could be. I'm going to turn off this light because it's super fucking hot. My LEDs should be in the mail. They should be arriving today. So the super hot light days are over. Yeah, I might just need to fight with these people at first, and maybe I should tell them that. I don't know. There's got to be a better way to do this. You did a good job at staying nonpartisan, except when you specifically brought up reasons why you were against her immigration stance. I guess, yeah, maybe I should have clarified that, I'm only bringing that up to show her that I'm not telling her how to feel. That I wanted to just point out that, I'm going down your, logic chain with you. I'm not, even though I completely disagree with it, but I don't need to mention that every 5 seconds. Although in the process of it, I am mentioning it, so that's probably a better way to do that. Destiny just said he wants to talk to you before you get off Twitch. All right, well, I'm ready. I'm ready when he is. Are you currently working on some music projects? I am going to keep making music. I thought it would be good motivation to announce my album and a release date, but it also sent me into a workaholic frenzy. And I don't want to do that again. So I think if I have a new music project and I've made a good bit of progress on it, I will announce it, but I will not announce a release date. And I'll announce it like when it's done, I guess. Or I'll announce it before it's done, and then again when it is done, and then I'll release it. But I don't want to put pressure on myself. But I anticipate more music. What about the freaking Ethernet cable? I have the Ethernet cable. It's working. I don't know what. I don't think it's the cable that dropped the thing. I don't know what happened. Do you think free will actually exists? I don't think it exists or doesn't exist. It's just a way of looking at things. Your experience of yourself and of other people is an experience of free will. You think about things and make decisions. Externally, if there was a computer analyzing all the movements of all the like atoms and subatomic particles and everything, then from that computer's point of view, obviously you're not making decisions. You're just doing things just like a bug does things. So it doesn't exist or not exist. It's just a way of looking at things. You got more super chats. Is this an AMA? Yes. No, I didn't. Oh, yeah, I did. Somebody sent me the Cookie Monster baking 6 million cookies question, which I find annoying, and I'm not going to read it. But thank you for the $1. $5 from Mike Ross. It's so upsetting that you feel the same way. I just had comments on the way your community spoke and the way her community spoke. I wanted to compliment the way you say things. It wasn't a hating situation in any way. Well, I appreciate you giving me another $5. I usually don't do or never do private conversations with like audience members asking me for them. I get a lot of requests for them, and I don't do them. So DMing me or talking to me in the Discord like video suggestions channel is as far as I go. But I appreciate the second donation. And I did not mean to. Well, you said I have a few issues with things you say. So like, you can see why I thought you were going to criticize me and tell me how to say things. Does it feel weird not having a day job now? Yeah. Yeah, it is weird. It's weird. It's nice though. Yeah, there's like no part of my week that's regularly like, geez, I really don't want to do this. It just feels like generally more stuff that I want to be doing. Speaking of which, I have to check my calendar because okay. Yeah, I have to go in like 20 minutes or so. What if I specify that those private conversations will be sexy? Yeah, that's kind of the problem. When you pause during the conversations, are you using the interview technique of trying to get the other person to fill the gap? I don't think so. I think I just don't have anything to say. And I try not to talk when I don't think I have anything to say. Who are you going to interview next? Destiny. I'm interviewing Destiny next week. Next Wednesday at 6 Eastern. And I think he trusts me, obviously, a bit more than Lauren, so we should... I don't think it's going to be like a big fight. Destiny said not to let you log off because he wants to talk to you. I'll be here for another 20 minutes or so. When we sing a live rap performance... I killed. No, I don't know. I don't know. Dude, Mr. Mooten would be hilarious. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't watched this stuff. People talk about him a lot. I'm going to refresh the donation and see what the new one is. We've got 3. Averin gave me $5. Debate me about milk. Thank you, but no. The Dude Hole gave me $10. Wasn't sure if you were joking in your raps. Not gonna read the rest of that. Asgarad. Yeah, I can read fucking faster than I talk, you dumb bitches. $3 from Asgarad. I get the vibe that you don't care about facts. Like you care about the truth, but not about what is or isn't true. Can you speak to that? Yes. It's not that I don't care about facts. It's that in most of these discussions, I find it tedious to start talking about studies and facts and whatever. I much prefer let's just agree on what we can agree on and go from there. I don't want to. And then like if you're more educated than I am about something, like European immigration, then I'll defer to your facts. I'll say I don't know, but I'll just go along with what you want. You go ahead and say what you want to say. And so and like I don't think we need to, if we're talking about is it going to hurt the world, or do I have a moral obligation to predict the effect of the world that the effect on the world of my Cuties review? Like I don't think we need to bring out a bunch of facts and studies and talk about that. I feel like we can have that conversation. Yeah, feelings don't care about your facts. Exactly. I feel like we can have that conversation without needing to bust out a bunch of fucking studies. You don't want to read. That's not true. Then how come you talk slower when you're reading out loud than when you talk, you dumb fuck? Fuck you. I don't. I slow it down slightly because I'm afraid someone's going to trick me into getting banned. Oh, well, if it lets out at the top of the hour, then I ain't gonna be here when Destiny's done. I saw your The Last of Us 2 review, and that's when I knew you were fucking based. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mr. Girl, what's your opinion on Israel as a Jew? I don't really have an opinion as a Jew. I think I'm allowed to say my opinion more because I'm a Jew. I understand their defensiveness, but I think it's basically an ethno-state. And when I talk to Israelis about Israel, they sound like they want an ethno-state. And like it's just an inherently good thing, I guess, because they're Jews. And like I should feel that way too because we share blood or I look like them. And like I don't feel that way. So I get the defensive reasons for wanting an ethno-state. I don't feel the same way. And I also think that Jews, at like any other, I guess any other non-white or non-European peoples, have a hard time seeing themselves as the oppressor when they've so recently been oppressed or are still oppressed in many ways. So yeah, I think you can be the oppressor, like with Israel and Palestine, and also be oppressed at the same time. And it's, yeah. I don't know a lot about the situation though, so I don't think it's as cut and dry as they're just the oppressors, but I think they do things that are oppressive for sure. And the overall just like of course we want to make a country that's just for people who look like us or think like us. That freaks me out no matter what race it is, even if I'm like part of it. Would I play games with Lauren after this? I think we need to have another talk. I think before I can play games with her, I need to address white nationalism with her. If she is a white nationalist, or I think she is, would I then play games with her? I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know if that's what would happen if we talked again. What was personal training like? I started out as a very technical trainer. I'm being like, these are the muscles and science and blah 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 and perfect form. Okay, Destiny says they're wrapping up. And then it became clear. Fuck. It became clear that actually personal training, you've got to teach people all that stuff, but mostly personal training is trying to convince people to eat less. And that is the number one thing. Well, I'm trying to figure out with Destiny if we're going to be able to talk. Talking people into eating less is the number one job of the trainer. The thing that is derailing everybody is that they won't stop eating, and then it like turns into life coaching more so, where like they learn the exercises, they're coming in and doing them, and then you just have to find out why are they still eating so much, and then try to help them figure out ways to change their patterns. And then I don't know if you saw my call-in show the other day, but the people in their life who keep pumping them full of pizza, you got to figure out. It basically, every person who eats too much is having trouble setting boundaries with their friends and family and coworkers or whatever in their social life, almost every time in my experience. And you have to teach them how to say no to other people, and that usually helps a fucking lot. Would you cheat on your wife with Lauren realistically? I don't think so. I'm not a cheater. When you talk to her again, please continue where you left off. I will propose that. How do you engage with a delusional religionoid? I don't think that religious people are particularly more delusional than... I think no matter what your place is, there's... like, any two people are going to have incompatibilities where one person just thinks the other person's delusional. And it being religion is like obviously super common because lots of people are religious, and it's like the only thing where you go around proclaiming like what your view of reality is. But yeah, I mean there's shit that Shaylin thinks that I think is delusional, and shit that I think that she thinks is delusional. Change stream title. No, I don't think I will change the stream title. Because this is going to be like the post-mortem. You mentioned that you have really good self-control. Do you have any advice for cultivating that? Just setting boundaries with other people. I think not letting you push yourself around comes with not letting other people push you around. That's like, I think that's helped me a lot. I feel like a lot of people can't deal with the starving of dieting. Yeah. I had a client once who was like, I just feel like I'm not getting enough food. And I was like, yes, that's the point. You're not getting enough food and your body is dying. And so if that's how you feel, then you're dieting correctly because that's what's happening. And that helped her kind of like wrap her mind around like it, because it feels wrong, especially if you're not used to it. It feels like something's going wrong, and like it is. But, you know, it's for your long-term health, and it's just like an unnatural situation that like we did not evolve to deal with. How do you say no? You just understand that it's going to be really fucking uncomfortable and people are going to be really mad at you, and then you just force yourself to do it until you start getting some benefits from doing it. Well, that's what I did. Or I'm still trying to do. I still have trouble saying no sometimes. Layla Pet, stop asking me this question. I'm not going to answer it. I'm not even going to read it out loud. Do you respect the community aspect of religion, and is that something we should seek to create elsewhere? Yes. Yeah, I think that it's nice having like a social club that people can go to, and that's like just expected that you're going to interact there. And it doesn't have to be based around an ideology or a certain book or whatever. I do like that. I like community centers and stuff. Talking about inappropriate questions, what's your current sub count? I don't know. It was like 7,000 this morning. Oh, sub count. Sub count, not follower count. Like 400, I think. What's a trick for people who hate water to drink more water? Flavor that shit. Mr. Girl, congrats on over 8,000 followers. Thank you. I appreciate it. Have you heard of a book called The Reader? It's very interesting in German and deals with pedophilia. I saw the movie with Kate Winslet. And I don't remember how old I was when it came out. Maybe like 20, but I was young enough to enjoy it quite a bit. But you're saying the book deals with pedophilia, so maybe the character's younger in the book. Boundaries are a cool idea, but sometimes you just need to put distance between you and your loved ones, but you can't because you know they will need you. Okay, when I say boundaries, I'm not talking about saying no as long as nobody else needs you. Boundaries is what you set when somebody else does need you and you're not going to meet their needs. And you're telling them no. You're telling them, I will not have a private Discord call with you where you talk about how great my communication style is. I'm not going to do that. And no matter how much they beg or plead or say that they need you to do that, you just say no. And obviously it's easier to do like with someone you've never met, but I mean, if you want to stand up to your family, you have to know going into it that if the family system is built around you not having boundaries and not being able to say no and being forced to do things that you don't want to do, and they actually literally emotionally depend on that structure, then you're going to partially tear it down if you start setting boundaries. And that's, if you want to take care of yourself, that's just what you have to do. How big will Mr. Girl's ego get with all the fame and fortune? I don't know. I do have these flashes of thoughts of like I'll be talking to a friend and I'm like, you know, there's like people who donate money to me just to talk, right? Like, and then I'm horrified that I had that thought. I'm not sure. I don't know. It's going to be disruptive to my personal life if I keep getting bigger. And I'm going to have to deal with that. Hey, Mr. Girl, I have some issues with how you talk. Yeah. Me too. Didn't you exactly do the thing you're saying you won't do, but with Vosh and Destiny? I don't know what thing. But if you tell me, I will read it. Bash scripted. Did my donation go through? Sausage Lord. Oh, we got another from the Lord. Let's check it out. Hey, Mr. Girl, can you do a freestyle rap for us about the good qualities of Lauren Southern? Lauren rhymes with foreign. So that's the start there. I don't know what Southern rhymes with, though. There's got to be something. I can't think of it. I'll think on that. Daddy's little horse. Oh, another $1. Wasn't trying to trick you. Genuinely love your stuff. Didn't realize the PS was against TOS. My bad, Dad. It's not just against TOS. I don't want to read comments like that from my fans. It's too weird. M4 now. $5. Why do I hate the sound of people chewing or gulping loud? I don't know. I have no theories, but thank you. Frick, $1. If you had the power to change one U.S. legal policy in order to make the largest positive difference, what would that be? U.S. legal policy. What's a law I disagree with? I think drugs should be legalized or decriminalized. I think all drug use, drug dealing, and prostitution, if we're throwing it in there. Basically, I think we're just locking poor, sad people up, or in some cases, non-poor, non-sad people, but particularly people who don't need to be fucking locked up. I think that would be the biggest thing. Or that would be a big thing. I'll probably think of something else later and wish I'd said that. Hey, Mr. Girl, have you considered being less successful? It's been really doing really well for me. I have. I've tried that for a long time, and it wasn't terrible. Okay, incoming call from Destiny. Let's see. Hello. Oh, that's all right. I'm doing okay. Are you going to be on video or just talking? Okay. Oh shit, you were muted. Sorry. Now everybody can hear you.
Oh, okay. How do you feel like your conversation went?
It was okay. It was entertaining, I think. I wish it had been warmer.
Warmer. Okay. So I'm gonna
that
ramble for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
What? Okay.
The thing where I want people to trust me, they don't.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons why I think I'm an interesting person, and why I think you're an interesting person to talk to, is because we're able to slip in and out of a lot of different roles during a conversation.
Right.
Sometimes those roles are going to be almost like submissive or subservient, where I'm listening to you in a manner where I kind of have to trust what you're saying, and it's almost kind of quasi-condescending, not necessarily, but it feels that way, maybe to an outsider. But I don't mind doing that because I understand the transaction, I understand the conversation. It doesn't bother me, right?
Yeah.
So there might be a time where you're having me chased on a hypothetical, or you're talking to me in such a way that, like, maybe to another person this would be like, what the fuck, or whatever. But like, I'm okay. I'll go there in the conversation. I don't mind, right?
Yeah.
I think it's important to recognize when those types of conversational exchanges are happening, because very few people will respond to those in a positive light. So when I watched your conversation with Lauren, there was a marked change in tone when something happened where, first of all, you have to understand, anytime you accuse somebody of lying or being bad faith, they're going to take that as a challenge, and it no longer becomes a conversation where the two of you are talking. I'm talking with my hands, and you can't see me. I'm a fucking idiot. Where the two of you are talking. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Okay. It's not going to be a conversation where the two of you are talking about one topic. It's going to be a conversation where the two of you are now adversarially fighting with one another.
Okay.
And there was a point in the conversation with Lauren where it had clearly taken on the feeling of you guys weren't having a dispassionate or detached conversation about events in Lauren's life, but rather she got the impression that she was on the defense and you were attacking her. Yeah.
Right.
So when you slipped into that mode where it's like, okay, well, what do you think about that or that or that? Rather than it seemed like, okay, well, this is like an interesting line of thought that we can both kind of play out in our heads. It was more like, this guy is condescending as fuck to me. He's trying to trap me in something. And instead of answering or engaging with any of your questions, she was actually playing defense in front of a jury. Right.
Which
so like
which makes both of us look terrible.
Well, I'm not.
I
I don't
think.
care about looking terrible. I don't think you care about looking terrible. It's more about
Well,
getting a good conversation, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. When I say looking
Yeah,
terrible,
okay,
I just
sure.
mean it looks like we're not talking about anything. Like there's no
Yeah,
point to it.
exactly. I think it's hard to tell this in the middle. I'm giving you all this advice now, but I totally fuck this up when I talk. It's really hard to see it happening live. It's very, very hard to see it. But at some point, it's good to notice in a conversation. Sometimes when I'm talking to people, I'll be like, wait, let's back up and what are we talking about right now? Let's just both figure that out.
Yeah.
Because at some point, there's a style of conversation where you and I might ask you a question about like why did you? Okay, I might ask somebody a question about like why were you on a boat trying to stop them from getting migrants? And in a conversation where you're both honestly engaging with it, it's like, I wanted to stop that boat. And even if some died, and it's horrible, but yeah, you know what? I did want to stop that boat. I felt strongly about it at the time. That's a way to engage with the topic that's detached from both of you. But when it feels like one person is being attacked, that's not the style of conversation. Instead, the style of conversation is I'm in front of a jury. So now I don't care about the facts of the matter. Instead, what I want to give is a justification for why I did it. So when you ask me, were you trying to stop a boat getting migrants? Okay, well, hold on. You need to understand the broader. Okay, first of all, in Australian maritime laws, there are these situations that are right. Now, instead of trying to engage with the material, I need to defend my character.
I think
because it's no longer. Yeah, go ahead.
I think what I want to be able to do, and I think what makes this really complicated, is I started out with like, I am horrified by this story.
Yeah.
And
Which sounds aggressive. Do you
understand? It sounds
that?
aggressive, right? Exactly. And I want to find a way to make that just okay. Like it's okay that I'm horrified by this story, and you don't have to convince me not to be. And that doesn't mean that every question I ask you about it is an attack where you need to defend yourself. And so I think talking about cuties, I was trying to do the same thing and basically be like, you are going to be horrified by what I say, and that's okay. We can just be horrified by each other. We're not going to agree. And if we insist that we have to agree, it's going to end up in this super circular
bullshit, virtue signaling.
Yeah,
like
right. Where you're
you.
yelling at me about porn and how my just all this shit that is just distracting.
Yeah, do you know anything about cats?
The animal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so people like me, people like Lauren, unironically, you could probably argue that we have like almost a trauma response to certain types of interviews because so many people are so horny to trap us into a bad line of questioning.
I have experienced this with you as well at times.
Sure. Well, you feel like I did it to you, or you feel like you were doing it to me, or you feel like I thought you were doing it to me?
I have worried that you think I'm doing it to you.
Oh, sure, okay. I don't think you are. Yeah. But the way that I would say it is, and this sounds even more condescending than how you were acting, but I would say sometimes
I meant the first time we talked, not anymore.
Yeah, sure. You need to treat people like cats a little bit. What you're trying to do is, if I have a cat that I know and I love and I trust, I can run right up to that cat. I can give it a big hug, and I can play like really crazy games with it, and the cat will be excited to play along. But if I see a cat on the street, I have to do a lot to earn that cat's trust before it's going to play with me and not feel like I'm going to try to kill it. And I think what you're doing when you approach some people in conversations, especially people like Lauren, who have been
asking for too much trust.
Yeah, you're asking for you want to rub her belly right off the bat. You wanted to roll her rubber belly, a stray cat, with just immediately, and that is totally impossible for 99% of people to do. It's just not going to happen, right?
But do you think that if I could get a reputation as a cat person, that could make it easier?
Absolutely. So, do you know who Dr. K is on Twitch? I know you tweeted at him.
I did. Yeah, I do.
He might be able to do that, but even him, he would probably run into some barriers where she would feel like, hold on, I need to defend my character because it's still a public conversation happening in front of an audience. But you do not have
I don't have that reputation
yet.
No.
Yeah,
no.
Not even close.
Well, I have an opposite reputation that could still have the same effect of like, that's why I start out with like, I'm like pedos versus Nazis, baby. Like, you know, what am I going to say to you?
Yeah, but the problem is the way that you cast yourself there is you're okay with people calling you a pedophile because, hey, fucking maybe there's an ounce of truth there, right? You don't care if you're identified as that. But the people that you talk to desperately care about how they're characterized.
Yes, but they don't want to say that. They also don't want to be characterized as caring about how they're characterized.
Yeah. And you also have to be careful because, like, so somebody like Lauren who's done actions, if I could rank them from 1 to 10 in their badness, I'd say that she's probably done actions that are on a badness of, like, maybe for me, I'd say 6, 7, or 8. Even maybe some of them were pretty bad. But when people attack her publicly, they hit her at a 10 or 11. So
Right.
when you come and you confront her with that, that's always going to be in the back of her mind. This guy's trying to pin me on an 11. I might publicly admit to a 5 or a 6, but it feels like he's going all the way. And like, that's a conversation that is immediately going to make somebody so defensive that their brain is going to shut. They're going to go into character defense mode. They're not going to make any concessions at all. Especially to a stranger, sometimes maybe to a therapist, but even a therapist has to work really hard to get that level of rapport with a client, you know?
I think there's also there's a thing where if I say, do you think it's irresponsible of you to do something that could result in people drowning, and say that you didn't think about it, or say that you're fine with it but not answer directly, that's heard as me saying, you drowned those innocent people, you monster.
A little bit. The important
But
part there
that's
is
some of
the
the
end,
belly
the you
rubbing that
monster
you're-
part. That's the important part at the end, because
Right.
nobody sees themselves, unless you're like a sociopath. Nobody sees himself as a villain. So when you
Right.
ask her, she's like, do you think it's possible you could have drowned it? What are the first things that she says? It's like, okay, well, hold on. Everybody does this, right? So the funny thing is that she kind of became the person that you said that she was trying to appeal to earlier in the conversation. Remember earlier in the conversation, you got upset. You both had a hard time getting over this, but you got upset at her because she asked you a clarifying question about how you felt about the age of
Yeah,
consent.
she forwarded
And
me a clarifying question,
yes,
which I did not
the
believe
reason
she
why
would. Yeah.
you were upset, you weren't upset because she asked the question, and you weren't upset because you had to answer the question. You were upset because you know that she knows the answer, but she had to
Yes.
feign outrage to win
Yes.
approval, virtue signaling from the audience, right?
Yes.
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 In a way, though, when you ask later on, don't you think it was monstrous what you did? Well, now she becomes a character where it's like, okay, hold on. I'm not like an exceptionally horrible, monstrous person, but you're asking me to admit that something that I did is like way outside of the norm of human behavior. And most people won't ever do that. Like, even people that murder people
Still
will say,
won't do
like,
that.
I couldn't. I was abused. I was forced. She was a horrible person. She did this. She cheated on me. She ruined my life, right?
But those
Most
people
will
don't
not accept. Yeah.
Most people are not saying, I want to be a public figure who moralizes to people about how the world should be. And I feel like if you're going to do that, if you're going to say Lauren Southern has returned, you have to answer this.
Yeah, but I mean, you do. But I'm saying that the way that you tease that conversation out, it has to be done.
If she,
It's a really difficult process.
I think
is
I
what I'm
have
saying.
to. I have to find a balance because I don't want to be. I don't want to be seen as being too nice. Also, to somebody who I think is proselytizing about something that I agree could be a 6 or 7 or 8, and how bad it is. And if I'm like, well, hey, I just want to make sure you're really comfortable. Like, maybe you shouldn't be super comfortable with what you did, but if you're gonna be a public figure, you have to be comfortable enough about it, or find a way to just be direct and have a direct exchange and tell me, how bad do you think it was, and why am I
Yeah,
wrong?
it's possible, but you have to understand that, like, you are taking on you're ascending from adult to parent child. Like, you're having a
Right.
condescending interaction with a person. Not that condescending is necessarily bad here, because as a parent we would condescend to a child, but you're like, not only are you asking that person to like trust you a lot in that conversation, to give you
Yeah.
full control over the conversation, you're
Yeah.
also potentially hitting on things that they might have never even actually considered, right?
Okay.
There might be things in their life where they might genuinely think, there have been a couple things in my life where I didn't actually think I did anything really that bad. And then on further reflection, I'm like, actually, damn, that actually was a pretty shitty thing that I did. That was actually
Yeah.
a really shitty thing that I did. And if somebody were to confront me with that in the middle of a conversation, I would never be able to do it. For the longest time, I used like the F slur and the N word or whatever, and I didn't think they were big deal words. And whenever somebody would confront me on it, they'd say like, you're homophobic. I'm not homophobic. Fuck you. And when you start the conversation that way, I'm not even going to consider that I might be in the wrong. Because for me to consider I'm wrong would be to say that I'm homophobic. Much the
Right.
same that when you attack Lauren, I say attack, but when you try to get her to admit that, like, okay, like maybe
What
this
she
was
feels
a
is
little
an
bit.
attack.
Yeah, because you're using words like, this was monstrous, or I would feel horrible, right? And she might even personally have not even confronted that yet, you know?
Right.
Because she said in the conversation when she did that, she was 21, right? Which is
Yeah.
a kid,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to go. Are we? Am I still
Yeah, I
interviewing you?
understand.
Am I interviewing you next week?
Yeah, I'll be mobile, but yeah.
Are you
Good
gonna
luck.
have it? Bad camera quality, but good mic quality. That's what you said, right?
My camera will be fine. My camera will be fine. My mic will be good. My camera will be okay. We'll be fine.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you about this F slur and N word usage. So just so you know, I'm going to grill you very hard, you monster.
Okay, gotcha. All right, have fun. Be careful, okay?
Okay. Thanks, Destiny.
Bye.
Bye. All right. I gotta go, guys. Thanks for watching. Nice boundary setting. Yeah, thank you. Goodbye, horses.